Tricia Gleason, Assistant City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a special session of the City Council to be held on Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 5:15 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting two work sessions, first on Spring 2026 iJAG City Life and City Life Alumni Program presentation and recommendations, and second on the Community Foundation, and recommendations, sorry, and then the second work session on Community Foundation Contracted Service Agreement Update.
Good evening and welcome to a special session of the Dubuque City Council for May 18th, 2026. As a reminder to our viewers and listeners, due to the nature of tonight's meeting topics, public input is not accepted. However, you may contact the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/council-contacts and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. Attendance at the session is as follows. Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Leindecker.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Staver.
Here.
Wethel.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Our work session topics tonight are at 5:15, Spring 2026 iJAG City Life and City Life Alumni Program presentation and recommendations, and at 6 o'clock, the Community Foundation Contracted Service Agreement Update. I'll now turn it over to Temwa.
Thank you so much. And so I just want to say good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and Council, and also City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Really excited for the opportunity tonight to share more about our City Life program and just the impact that it's had on our residents across the Dubuque community. And so tonight's presentations that you're going to hear about are all about community connection and what happens when our residents of all ages are intentionally invited into a relationship with our city, with our staff, as well as supporting local businesses and with one another. So you'll hear directly from our youth and also our adult participants in our alumni group and about their experiences, and also just an overview that I'll provide for you on what City Life is about. So City Life is a program that is open to our whole entire community, and it is offered twice a year. But we also have a great partnership with our iJAG program, our Iowa Jobs for America's Graduates. And so that is offered to our high school students. And so it's an opportunity to build relationships with our city departments to find out the services. It's kind of like the behind the scenes, but not behind the scenes, but the behind the scenes of what goes on. And just, again, a great way for our community to find out how they can get involved in different capacities, whether it's a board and commissions, neighborhood associations, employment opportunities for our youth, internships, and other like job shadow opportunities too. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our iJAG team with Casey Heslog, Casey Smith, Janie Heslog, and Sarah Padoff, or Chapman.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us, Mayor Kavanaugh and council members. I'm Casey Smith. I'm the program supervisor. And then we have one of our specialists here and a couple of students that they can introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Janie Hessong, and I am the iJAG teacher at Hempstead for the 11th and 12th graders.
Hi guys, my name is Julia Hubbard and I'm a student in the program.
Hi, my name is Kyla Outlaw and I'm a freshman and I'm also in iJAG.
Okay, so we have some highlights for you. This is a partnership that's been going on for several years that we are just so thankful for. The main takeaways are we have students that we serve, 7th, 8th grade, throughout high school, and then when they turn seniors and graduate to whatever's next, we still support them for a full year after. So we have kind of 7th grade through that additional year after high school. So through different tactics, we really explore careers. What do you want to do? What are you interested in? If you don't know, who can we connect you with? How can we expose you? And City Life is an opportunity that allows that. So we have a little video of what took place this year.
We are the bottom 10% of the entire country for that same time. I saw this and I was like, what's happening? This seems like a mistake. Does anybody have a thought about why?
AmeriCorps, okay.
That was there. So basically, and like confidence and like how you focus on yourself first. And we did like an activity with like a spoon where we try to improve on how we did, and we just focus on communication.
Awesome.
So make sure you don't do that. Once you have your son,
automatically do have a library card with Carnegie Scout through your student ID. You won't be able to use the Hoopla services that way, but you would have Libby. You'd be able to check some stuff out.
So basically, we make these things from the library, and if you bring your own material, it's free.
Yep, bring your own material.
Lots of things there that you can license. Oh yeah, you can put vinyl on shirts.
Yeah.
And puzzles.
What if I wanted?
What's that? It's the same, but it's on the other end. So it's actually Carnegie.
We're at Park and Recreation, and basically just like make the community better, and basically work on like the parks and the recreations. And in the summer they do like team jobs, and you get paid a lot of money and bankroll. And yeah, they just like look to make the parks better for the community.
Awesome. All right.
Who did City Life last year when we went down to the transit center? And there was a poster board of all of these pictures of what our parks and stuff could be, and you put a sticker on it.
Who knows what they want to be when they grow up? Solid. That's a good one.
A lot of the calls that I get on a day-to-day basis are dogs running loose.
Learn about the traffic and how cameras are controlled and how they're live and like. Oh, they make up to 69,000 to 100,000 or over.
Woo!
69,000 to 100, and is a need.
Yeah, I just trying to remember, like, even when I was in college and for classes like this, like, those short
We're the communications and media department. Basically, what the department's about is mostly about animating and also kind of talking. It's like trying to explain something without actually, like, being part of like a news or like a journaling project. Just working on stuff that they really want to do. Mostly with like, I don't know, like Instagram, TikTok.
Social media, branding, websites, creativity. Yep.
Yeah, and the big or small or medium or just you, if you're able to like make something and like show it out, then it's able to where it can succeed.
Yes!
Cool, all right, let's give it up.
walk out this way, be there for like 2 minutes, and then I'll come back and I can get on.
So that's the coverage and frequency. How we built that?
Yeah.
That's how we built that.
Probably on all the shows you see them, they have to they lift them out and lower it down. We used to do that, but
I'm Rashawn. I'm a 10th grader and I want to be a mental health therapist.
Great. I'm gonna give you one of these here. I'm gonna say I'm a freshman and I want to be an anesthesiologist. Awesome. That was one of mine at one point too. So. Nurse. Great.
It's about like your backpack you gotta do. So that looks up to here. It's like a speaker.
I was just in a car accident. I think there's
Where are you located? It's a real call. Oh, is it a real call?
ones that they hire like right after high school. You have to have a GED or a high school diploma. And then the starting rate is 27-ish, but like there's this girl, she makes like $35. Like she makes a lot of money.
Okay.
Oh, you work 4 to 12-hour shifts, like 4 shifts a week. And then the week after is 3 days, so it's like every other week it's like different. And then
I'm mad about that.
oh, and you have to be 18
High school diploma, 18. You
When
work
you're ready.
4 days on, 3 days off, or vice versa.
So on holidays you get double the pay.
Double pay on holidays.
Double and a half.
Okay.
Okay, some good highlights of, we did 4 different days this year. 2 where the kids and the students got to go out, and then 1 at each of the high school where we could show more students some opportunities. The path here, and I'm not gonna read through all the slides, but iJAG and what we're trying to do in partnership is explore interests, anything, expose them, and then get them into experiences that can connect to their future. So I think one of the big things is not just connecting them to anything, but connecting them to our community, and that's where it's really important. So one of the things that we do is career interest surveys. You've probably heard them over a million times. You know, you take 50 questions and it gives you some ideas. We channeled this into the interest areas that we'd aligned with the opportunities that the students were gonna get as just another way to kind of speak a different language or talk, and that carried over into the initiatives of our community. So when you think about why city life is so important, we also can give an opportunity or a platform for students to be engaged, to learn, to have input. We call it voice and choice in our program. And this is going to be really key moving forward as we're trying to get students to work-based learning opportunities. Sometimes there's challenges with that. We have a lot of secondary education in the Dubuque area that likes to take a lot of the internships that maybe our high school age can't, but we can do projects. So that's a big component of if there are initiatives in the community, if there is some space where students can have a voice, how can we connect that and help lift that up? Okay.
Okay, I am not Aiden Miller, but he, in the iJAG fashion, had to work today, so I'm going to speak on his behalf. So Aiden is a senior this year, and he got, through Temla, a job shadow with Joe Pregler. He's the head of IT for the city, yeah. So, which was great because when Aiden talks about IT, to me, that is a language I don't have in my wheelhouse. So it was great for him to get that opportunity through this collaboration. But his biggest thing with city life is that he likes being able to understand how Dubuque runs, like how a city functions from behind the scenes, but having the real world application that he got with the one-on-one time with Joe Pregler was great for him. And yeah, he's gonna have a career in IT someday.
Hi, my name is Kyla Outlaw. I'm a freshman at Hempstead High School, and I'm in iJAG. And before doing the city life, I didn't realize how in sync that our city departments really are with each other. And so during that experience, I really got to see how in sync that they are and how well they work together. It's like a well-oiled machine, and it was a really awesome thing to see. And my next step is from high school. When I graduate, I am planning on going to college to possibly become a social worker and to possibly do a ride-along with the foundation too, and see where that goes. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor Kavanaugh and the members of City Council.
My name is Jalea Hubbard, and I'm a junior at Dubuque Senior High School. And last November, I had the opportunity to give a speech in front of over 1,400 people. And through that experience, I was honored to be elected as Iowa Jobs for American Graduates State Career Association president. So in this role, I represent students all across the state of Iowa, and I help lead statewide initiatives and serve as the voice for my peers by promoting leadership, career readiness, and student success. While City Life may not always feature careers that directly match my personal interests, it was still an incredible experience that I value. It has helped me learn more about the city I live in and the opportunities right here in Dubuque. For example, through this past City Life events, I was introduced to a lifeguarding opportunity at Sutton, which is my job, and I truly enjoy it. And then events like this also allow me to strengthen my communication skills by interacting with professionals, building networking skills that will benefit me in the future, and step into leadership roles by supporting and encouraging my classmates. It has also helped me become more open and adaptable by learning how to value in opportunities and experiences, skills that I know I will carry with me behind my high school career. So thank you for your time in supporting opportunities like City Life that help students grow both personally and professionally.
Okay. I don't think I hope it's obvious the impact that you guys make. And so one of the things that we're looking at is a change or a hope for next year is, can we do an opportunity like this in the fall? Because what happens when it goes in the spring for our students, then summer hits, and we lose that momentum sometimes. So we are looking at alternative ways of exposure in the fall to then lead to those more one-on-one opportunities that hopefully we can get more students exposed to their community and have that buy-in. That's what we really want, is we want future leaders, we want future community members, but we would love selfishly for them to stay close to home and bring their energy that way. So bridging, just continuing to bridge that gap between interests, students, and then our community. I don't know if you want to do it now or let Temwa do the second, but if you want to ask some of the students questions, or would you like to wait till after?
Do we have another part?
He's going to do the alumni version after this. So with just iJAG, it's kind of now, so let's...
Yeah. Are you sticking around for the whole
we
thing?
can, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do the alumni part first?
Would that be okay
Yep,
with you?
that's
And then
fine.
we'll just do the questions afterwards,
Yep,
and that
no
way we
problem.
can kind of go there. Thank you so much.
First of all, I'm really blown away from the youth. They're just amazing. And it's, again, a great opportunity that we get to have of having them be a part of this. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our adult City Life participants for them to also share out. So John.
Greetings. I'm John Uzel. Thank you for hearing us today. I almost missed my chance to get involved this year in City Life. My wife had mentioned to me last minute that, we should check that out, find out some more about the city we've lived in for years. And I am so thankful and so glad that we did have a chance to check it out. We learned quite a bit more about the city than either of us really understood about the operation of the city. Moreover, I've talked to a lot of people since I went through the program, and we've had good communication with folks about wanting to learn more about what is that you did. I saw you were out about with the city. What was that you were doing? And so I found some really good conversation there. One of the things, though, I wanted to point out was over the last few years, one of the things that stuck out to me about our community overall is often I'll hear from people who want to very publicly or very loudly voice displeasure over something or disagreements, an action or a movement by the city. And this is the part that we debated whether we were going to, do we want to talk about negative? I think it's important to know that programs like this that inform citizens about the city, about how things work, having a better understanding and better knowledge about what it is that the entire city does, what each of your areas of the city, what that means to everybody. It gives a better sense for us and for anybody who potentially will be going through the program about how it's all connected. What does it mean? It's not just, oh, it's an expenditure here, oh, it's something, a bill, something was passed over here. It's better understanding overall. And I am looking forward in encouraging both family, friends, coworkers in future iterations to get involved with the program, to check it out and find out more about what it is that the city does. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Tommy Mentz, and I was born and raised in Dubuque. I got invited to City Life by a personal email, then a text a few days before registration ended. That text reminded me when it totally just passed my mind. I went into this event knowing very little about it and Dubuque. Walking into the Multicultural Family Center on day one, I only knew Temwa and a few other employees. So at the start, everyone got up from their table to form a group circle to get to know each other. One person expresses an interest to then another person coming up that has the same interest. Then that person moves on to a different interest, and so it goes on. This helped us each learn one thing about each other, making it easier to talk to each other. Just a reminder, this is the very first day of City Life. Like, we did not know each other at all. So this program has helped me form new relationships that continue beyond City Life. A big example would be the group chat that was made with Jeremiah, Annabelle, Cara, and myself. First time meeting up after City Life was Annabelle inviting all of us over for dinner and then going to Wild West Wednesday after. I've been invited to dinner mainly by family, so this really stuck out to me. The next was the first Friday art gallery tour. I had no idea about this, but I was open to going, and I had a very fun evening going around, looking at art, and checking out shops I hadn't seen in a while. From this, you can tell that relationships formed within City Life can go much beyond it. Thank you for supporting this wonderful program.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeremiah Allen. I'm a recent graduate from Loras College. One of the many important topics in my study in public health is the social determinants of health. Of the 5 determinants, social and community context is the one that is most relevant in my message to you guys today. In the city life's goal in the city of Dubuque's goal for 2030, there is a goal to have a connected community. This goal sticks out to me the most. I believe that this goal is directly achievable through the City Life program, the City Life Alumni program. Temwa has gathered an intelligent group of people to create an alumni board, a group that is responsible for maintaining connections for those who have graduated from the City Life program. The City Life program exposes the public to each other, departments that contribute to the city community, and also the local food that are really good. However, the City Life Alumni Board is focused on the retention of these people. The Alumni Board is meant to show the city's efforts to maintain the community that is already built by the City Life program. Although we are still in the process of building this alumni group, we wanted to share some of the ideas that we had come up with so far. In the picture that is us, we're brainstorming and we are coming up with different ideas. We actually wind up filling out that entire wall. That took a while. We are thinking about adding 2 additional meetings annually for the Alumni City Life program. The creation of a website specifically for the City Life program, including ways that people can be connected to the city and county community outside of the program. Creating a forum so that people who are interested in joining the City Life program and the alumni who have already gone through it can make suggestions to tell us what they're interested in seeing the City Life program do. Educational events about things that are happening in Dubuque and educating people that programs like this truly exist. Things to do and teaching what City Life program does, especially targeting college students deciding whether or not to stay in Dubuque when they graduate or not. The City Life program is great, But with the proper marketing, exposure, and efficiency retention program, the City Life can play a huge role in improving the social community engagement in Dubuque. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. Thank you for allowing me to address you this evening. My name is Jeff Deacon, and I've recently relocated to the vibrant city of Dubuque from Fort Madison, Iowa, and looking forward to moving my family here this summer and embracing our new hometown. As a recent graduate of the City Life program, I've come here to thank you for having the vision and foresight to develop such an impactful program and to recognize the value and to continue to sustain it. The Community Impact and Neighborhood Support Department is an incredible team of passionate leaders that well serves residents of Dubuque. My esteemed colleagues have spoken eloquently about the heart of the city, the skilled and gregarious staff of the great city of Dubuque. I was impressed with all of them, and they deserve our praise. The impact City Life had on me was the exposure to the backbone, or the infrastructure of the city, the systems that allow the city to function relatively seamlessly to the casual citizen observer. During the tour of the Water and Resource Recovery Center, I observed a modern and well-maintained facility that operated by a knowledgeable and competent staff. They work in a dirty business, but you wouldn't know that from the tour of the facility. As a group, we got to participate in the Ready, Set, Sort video game at the Solid Waste Agency website. I applaud a team that developed a video game to educate the public of all ages on improving our solid waste streams. The remainder of the website, while not so entertaining, is informative and well done. The answers to any refuse question I could formulate, how to dispose of a mattress, electronics, paint, was all there right at your fingertips. It is impressive. The conditions and the infrastructure of Dubuque do not show a city living in its past. They demonstrate a vibrant city with an expectation of a bright future. All the representatives that spoke to our group discussed their vision to continue to improve their areas of responsibility to improve the conditions for the citizens of Dubuque. There are now over 30 new citizens of Dubuque that have gained this positive insight to the workings of our fine city through the City Life program. We City Life alumni also have a better understanding on how we can contribute to Dubuque's future. You should be proud of both the outstanding personnel and the facilities Dubuque has to offer. You have an exceptional team. It's hard to stand out among so many positives, yet your ambassador to Dubuque certainly does. I have never met someone so positive, so energetic, so gracious. His interactions with everyone result in a smile and a warm handshake, if not a hug. In Mr. Temoa Prii, you have the best possible advocate for the future of Dubuque. Thank you once again for your leadership and support to the City Life program.
All right. First, I want to just say thank you to all the participants, that, the residents that came up and being able to be a part of this and taking their time out to share how this program has impacted them. And I'd be remiss that I need to give a shout out to our city departments, because they're the ones that also make this possible. For the fact that they make the program so entertaining, so engaging. They're answering all the questions, being able to take our residents around throughout the facilities, as you heard also. Just the excellent care that they have, and it shows, and it's felt by the participants. So I just want to say thank you to all the city departments that are always willing and able to be a part of this. And as we continue to grow, having those partnerships, and speaking on partnerships, just giving a shout out also to our Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque there. So we have Alex Baum, who also presented and did the data walk, again, talking about connectedness and how it's important within our community. Having Nick Hockenberry and also Maddie as well too, for them with the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation and the Community Foundation, for them sharing the different opportunities that we can connect with employment. So just wanted to take the time to give that shout out, as well as our businesses that have been participating in this program. What I really appreciate the most is not only the hard work that our local businesses have in the art that in their craft, but how they also kind of share with us that they look forward to City Life. Because once they are there serving the food, they do hang around and they listen to some of the different presenters, and they walk away like, wow, this is a really cool opportunity, and they learned a little bit more about it. And what's great is also our opportunity of being able to support them. And as you can see, the program has been growing exponentially over the years. There's a high interest for it. And again, it's one that is all about showing people how they can contribute to the future of what our community looks like, how they can get involved, how they can have their thoughts, their ideas kind of placed out there, whether it's the boards and commissions, neighborhood associations, or employment. So data-wise, since the 2013 of inception, we've had over 372 participants that go through the program. 67 of them have been on boards and commissions, and that's if they indicated on their application that they went through the program. Again, a huge testament to how much the program is growing and impacting. And let's see. And so I wanted to also just share that this program directly aligns with our city's vision around building more connected community. And so when residents feel connected, they're more likely to stay in Dubuque, that they're also likely to participate in community initiatives or being able to support local businesses as they are getting exposed to the different variety of vendors that we have, more likely to volunteer and also to lead, more likely to build relationships across backgrounds and experiences. And one of the cool things is City Life is able to create that space for where people who may never normally cross paths together, that they get the opportunity to do that and connect. Now, this is a side joke, but also true, but making friends as an adult is hard. And so City Life does make it a little easier. So again, just want to say thank you to everyone that's involved in this. And the future-wise for our program is looking at being able to develop and recognize that there are barriers and opportunities that we could still grow in. And one of those is being able to transportation accessibility. So we've had a few people that have reached out that they've wanted to be a part of the program, but transportation was a barrier. So we're being proactive of being able to explore and find some different ways that we can get them connected. I also got to give a shout out that one of the barriers we used to have before was childcare. And so we've partnered with our AmeriCorps, and Sarah Berna has been amazing with her team of being able to provide some child enrichment activities for them during the program to allow their parents to be able to participate. Also, as far as the program capacity, as we've seen that there's a huge interest that we've been having with our program. So trying to find ways that we can get more people involved and engaged, and maybe it's outside of offering it twice a year, and with our alumni group, being able to explore different opportunities and ways that we can make that happen. So ultimately, City Life is helping residents not only better understand Dubuque, but also see themselves as part of its future. It's creating stronger relationships between residents and our local government and community organizations and businesses, and most importantly is also helping people feel connected to the place that they call home. So I want to thank you again for your continued support for the City Life program, and we appreciate the opportunity to share these experiences with you. So
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
So we've got about 10 minutes left here to be able to talk about this a little bit more. Let me first just say thank you, especially to Jeff, Jeremiah, Tommy, John, Kyla, and Jalea for sharing your experiences. Really appreciated being able to hear that. And just how, if you noticed, everybody was a little bit different in their experience and what they really got from this. But there was a theme through there about an understanding of what the city does and that feeling of connection to the city government, but then also just the community itself. And I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here with City Life, and I'm glad to hear you say what you said, so thank you for that. I do want to open it up, but I think right away I want to ask the question, because you're saying there's some things you'd like to see. We heard we'd like to see iJAG in the fall. In addition to the spring, is that, you can just shake your head, or just once? There's one in the fall, so fall instead of spring maybe. Okay, so let's start with that. If you were to do that, how would that occur? Would that be something that's just a matter of changing processes, or do you need something from the city council eventually to get that done?
So looking at changing processes, but also one of the things that we're trying to figure out is what other supports maybe we can add to the students' experiences. Now, with the City Life, our regular City Life program, we do have the ability to provide some opportunities and exposure to local businesses. So, future sight of how can that look like with being able to also connect our high school students as well too.
Okay. And then in order to be able, I noticed, can you go back one slide, what you had there? You said there's some capacity issues, and then I'm sure that additional offerings would mean, I mean, there's a cost to this. There would mean some funding to be able to do that as well. Is that kind of, am I on the right track with those things?
Correct, yeah. So the funding wise, with the capacity of having 30 people, we're kind of teetering, pushing it a little bit there. And so we want to increase the number of residents that are able to participate and experience this program. And so just exploring different ways that maybe we can get creative of being able to support more participants, but also connecting them with our local businesses that we can provide that food and experience. So.
Got it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you can handle 100, Temla. I mean, with your energy
Yeah.
level. I'm just kidding. I'm
Bring some
totally
bread.
joking, just so you know. Julia, did you say you talked to over 1,000 people for that presentation? Is that what you said? Yeah. Yeah. 1,500. You got me beat. I'm the mayor of this town. You got me beat. I don't think I've ever talked to a room of 1,500 people. So that's really impressive.
Come up and give a little shout out. So she is our state iJAG president. And what that means is she's gone to DC in the fall for leadership.
Very cool.
She just went to Salt Lake City for our national career competition. And she's going back to DC in the fall for the second wave of leadership skills.
Wow.
So every program that we have 7 in Dubuque. Every teacher, they get to create their own officers and own almost like student government. She is that version for us for the state. So out of everybody in the state, they picked her.
Wow.
To be Madam President, like we like to call her. And then after this, there is opportunities for others to either also run for a state one or a national one. So Iowa has had 2 national officers the past couple years, which is, again, just how can we connect them? How can we build leadership? But she really wants to be the voice of her peers. And so it's a bigger thing than I think a lot of people know. So
Wow.
a little
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to voting for you for president someday. Just so you know. Thank you for what you did. All right, I want to open it up to any other questions. I know we've got a few minutes here before we have to move on to our next work session at 6 o'clock. So Ms. Rousseau, please.
Thank you. It was wonderful to hear all these insights. Thank you to all of you who came up to share. I truly believe that making connections, being involved, being engaged in your community is what makes Dubuque your home, our home. And I really think that building this alumni association is so exciting because it truly means that this was a meaningful experience that you want to grow and expand. And I just want to tell you that I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes of this organization in the future. So thank you for sharing, and Temla, thank you for your leadership. You're outstanding.
Thank you.
Others? No? No others? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for this. I think we heard some very good things, like I already mentioned, about what this program does for people who are going through it. And I'm glad you pointed out the fact that it also builds a level of trust with government that is closest to you, with your city government. And I think that that's a very important factor in this situation. And Temla, I appreciate you bringing up the fact that you do have a capacity. You may seem amazing and you're doing all these things, but you do have a capacity, and we need to make sure we recognize that too. We would love to see just hundreds of people go through this in a year's time, but it's hard to do that. There's a cost to it. There's, you need more people to be able to do it, and your connections and partnerships like you mentioned. So we'll keep that in mind as we keep thinking about this. I, for one, I do not need to be sold on the benefits of City Life. I think it's just obvious what this program really is. And I really do enjoy the connection that we have with iJAG. I want to point that out specifically. Last couple of years, you've invited me to talk and just really hang out. I mean, I just hung out at Hempstead for like a whole day when I was there this year, and it was really fun to have some really good in-depth conversations with our community's future leaders, people who are going to be leaders, people who are going to be working in the workforce here in Dubuque, because that is the goal, right? To have that connection and have people stay. So it is wonderful to have that opportunity. So thank you for everything that you're doing. We appreciate it. We look forward to hearing more again next year.
Thank you. And I just wanted to make one last shout out also to our fines and fees participants. So within our department, the Office of Community Impact and Neighborhood Support, we do have residents that are volunteering their time, and they're part of the fines and fees program. And so they were a huge help and asset of being able to support this city life, from setting up, from tearing down, but then also being participants too. It's like, wow, I did not know that, asking questions for their own experiences that they're having. So just wanted to give a
Thanks for
shout out
mentioning
to
that.
them.
That's really important. Thank you, Tamara. All right. Okay. Well, we are going to move on to our next work session then. I see that Alex Baum is here with the Community Foundation to take us into this work session. So we'll make that transition now. And we're ready whenever you are.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the City Council, Mr. City Manager, and City staff, I want to thank you so much for inviting me here for us. It's not usual to start with a complaint, but I do hope that next time there'll be a less inspirational group leading into my presentation. It's a little bit of a tough act to follow, but for the for a city partner who is very engaged with this idea of civic engagement and civic involvement, programs like City Life and the city staff who run them and the leadership of Dubuque for putting forward programs like this, it's really impactful and it means a lot, and I was very privileged to have a small role to be able to play in it this year. So thank you so much. I don't know if we have a different slide deck that will go in, or if I should be changing it on my end.
Corey's going to help you out with that.
Oh, okay. It might just be this one, right? Or no?
Let's see, is this one?
Yes,
That
perfect.
looks good.
Thank you so much.
You bet. All right, where's my?
Here, I'll get it set up. All right. Let's see here. Do you know where the, and it usually right down here.
It is saved as a PDF. So
Oh, it
maybe-
is?
yep,
Okay.
mhm. So can I try for just a
Yes,
second?
sure.
Perfect.
Just that one in the corner,
Yeah.
maybe? Okay.
There you go. So then I'll ask Eric in the back if you can share the screen.
Thank you very much.
Quick second here. I can find my mouse pointer. There we go. And then this.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Teamwork. Thanks, Eric.
All right. So thank you so much for the invitation to come here and speak to you a little bit about the partnership that we have together and the work that the Community Foundation has been doing through Project Hope and through Engage Dubuque, kind of around these ideas of economic mobility and civic engagement. This partnership has been going for over a decade, and the investments that the city of Dubuque has made in these programs are multiplying their impact. Since 2023 alone, we estimate that we brought in more than $1.6 million in related grants to these different programs and created an $8 million impact investing fund. That kind of additional programming and work is not possible without the support
of the city and this long-term partnership that we've had to be able to build these programs. We're leveraging this kind of collective work with the city staff and with other partners to really try to multiply the impact that we're having in the community. Now, I have a lot of things to try to get through, and I know we have limited time, so I'm just going to move through, but I want to start by talking about Project Hope and the work that we've been doing around this area. So for those of you who aren't aware of Project Hope, it is a collaboration of local government, nonprofits, other stakeholders in the community coming together to address issues of economic mobility and poverty reduction. It's really focused on data and research to a large part, and it is all about collaboration, partnerships. How can we address some of these issues on a systemic level? Now, with the city, we have previously been working very closely with the Office of Shared Prosperity in accordance with some of the equitable poverty reduction and prevention plan that was put out. And now in the past year, we've been working in very close partnership with the Office of Community Impact and Neighborhood Support, and have been working closely with the new initiative that the city is doing around economic mobility, right? Part of the reason why there's this close collaboration is we want to leverage Project Hope, leverage the work being done in this community so that we aren't recreating wheels, but are really moving the efforts of the city as a whole beyond into much larger areas. This focus on economic mobility by the city actually comes at a great time because we just held a data walk last year that was entirely focused on this issue. So we have a lot of the data that we need to be able to move forward. Now, I know that some of the people here today were able to attend the data walk, but because some others haven't, I wanted to run through very quickly. So a data walk is where we take up community level data and put it kind of like a museum exhibit around the McCarthy Center in the Roshek building just across the park here. This year, the data walk was based around data by a group called Opportunity Insights that comes out of Harvard University with Dr. Raj Chetty that's really focused on economic mobility and different impacts in different communities around the country. This had some pretty remarkable findings when we took it down to the community level. So this is a chart up here showing the household income at age 27 for a child born in 1978 to low-income parents. So parents who are low income in the 25th percentile, their child, what is that child's income 27 years later? Have they been able to break out of the cycle of poverty? Have they had economic mobility? So at the bottom of this purple chart, this is every county in the United States from bottom with the lowest economic mobility up to the highest economic mobility at the top. Dubuque came in the 92nd percentile of every county within the United States, which is pretty remarkable. But this is every county. This includes massive counties and also very, very small counties. So there's a lot of change in the data. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So to the right, we have every county with at least a population of 60,000 people. So every county at least the size of the city of Dubuque. In this recording, Dubuque came in third out of every county in the United States. Which is a remarkable story. That means that Dubuque County had one of the highest levels of economic mobility of any county within the country, according to this very high-profile study that went out. Now, part of the question is why, and we looked at a lot of different indicators, job creation, share of single mothers within the community, a lot of different things, but I just want to talk about one, which is this idea of economic connectedness. This has to do with social capital, and it's really the question of, do people in a community form relationships across socioeconomic levels, right? Are low-income individuals able to form relationships with high-income individuals? Dubuque scores very, very well in these areas. And what is so interesting about this is the researchers found that this idea of economic connectedness had the highest correlation with economic mobility of any indicator that they looked at and studied. So it was the idea in Dubuque that relationships, who you know, the connections that you have, that not only matters in how we operate in the city, but that it has been an engine in this community, driving economic prosperity and driving economic mobility. Right? This is a tremendous kind of finding and really speaks to what I think the experience of a lot of residents have had in Dubuque, that there is a small town feel where you're able to get to know people and be open to different opportunities and resources. But the question that this introduces is, what about those people who haven't had that experience, right? There's a lot of disparity in this community. If we are such a huge engine for economic mobility, why hasn't everybody experienced that? And I think there's a lot of questions to that, answers to that question, but one I just want to touch on quickly comes from this slide. So this slide shows that for household income for adults, for a child born to low-income parents, Dubuque ranked in the 99th percentile of every county. For household income for children who were born to low-income parents and stayed in Dubuque, grew up in Dubuque, and then stayed in Dubuque later, we're the 96th percentile, top of the country. But for change of household income overall, we were in the bottom 10%. Now, when I first saw this, I was kind of flabbergasted. I assumed that there might be a problem with the data or something. How are we ranked so highly for household income in these categories, but not in this other one? And while I think there are a number of answers, one that stands out to me is the idea that if it is people who have grown up in Dubuque and who have lived here as a child and built relationships who are having a lot of this income growth, then it must be newcomers who are bringing down that average. Which leads to the thought that Dubuque has had a lot of demographic change over the past 30 years. There has been a lot that has happened in this community. And if we want to keep that crown of being third in the country, of having such a high rate of economic mobility, we need to worry about this tight network that we have perhaps being a barrier if you're located outside of it. How do we open that up? How do we allow newcomers to this community to be able to engage and make relationships? I actually think city life is a tremendous example of something like this, allowing people to come in, build those relationships, build those connections, and have it as part of the city's underlying infrastructure. I think this is a tremendous step forward for the type of work that we need to do to keep that high level of economic mobility. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this and are interested, we still have this up at the McCarthy Center in the Roshek building, but it won't be up for too much longer, and that's because we've already started working on next year's data walk, which is going to be focused on affordable housing, ranging from everything from what is being built in terms of affordable housing to rent and utility costs to homelessness. And what we want to do here is bring new data into the conversation and be able to bring people together and have a discussion about what's going on. I have an enormous Excel spreadsheet right now on my computer that I'm very excited to dig into. When I tell most people this, they break eye contact and say they have to go pick up their kids somewhere, but I think we'll have a tremendous lot of information and data to be able to share with you. And this is also very relevant to the work of Project Hope, because Project Hope as a collaboration has been focused on affordable housing so far in 2026. This has involved analyzing new data on evictions and discussing it as part of the group, coordinating on housing support, and most recently trying to map out the affordable housing and homeless support systems in Dubuque. Now, I'll kind of give you an example of what that means. I'll show you what it means. So this is the center part of the mapping that we did, was trying to look at what is the journey of somebody experiencing housing instability in Dubuque, right? What are the different areas that they're focused on? Maybe avoiding eviction and foreclosing, trying to find new rental housing, finding support while homeless, right? And then from this map, we found all of the different needs and the gaps that somebody might need there. Ranging from food insecurity to support with rent or being able to get temporary shelter. Then we added onto this all of the different services that addressed those needs, and finally all of the different service providers within our community who are providing these different needs. So Project Hope worked through this map together, and then we shared it with the Homeless Advisory Council as well. And in the end, we came up with 111 different entities that are providing services connected with affordable housing and homelessness support within our community. There was a wide range, and no one entity was listed for more than 23% of the different services that were there. It was actually the city of Dubuque had the highest number of services that were being addressed. This is a lot of different entities that are being looked at, and this Thursday we actually have a Project Hope meeting where we are going to dig into this more. But I believe that this idea of navigation and casework is key. With that many entities, in my opinion, it doesn't matter how well you can make referrals. It is challenging for a single mother facing homelessness to be able to engage with that many different service providers in order to get the help we need. There's just a limited bandwidth that we have as human beings to be able to address that. So how can we as service providers and community organizations help expand that bandwidth or help walk along people so that they can access the amazing resources that we have in our community? Next, I want to talk about the Better Together Committee, and I apologize, this is a bit of a typo. We're actually going to talk about the Food Provider Network a little bit later in the discussion. But the Better Together Committee is another collaboration that we run that is focused on systemic barriers facing our immigrant populations. So why is this a priority area that the Community Foundation has partnered with the city on? Well, between 2010 and 2024, 97.8% of the population growth in the city of Dubuque is due to growth in immigrant families. 97.8%. Within the Community Foundation's 7-county region, which goes from Alumni down to Clinton, that number is 264%, meaning that our region without immigrant families would have shrunk, and pretty significantly. And it's not just demographics too, but it's also workforce. Between 2010 and 2025, we estimate that about 37% of the growth in workers within Dubuque County is due to the growth of the foreign-born workforce. And if you look at those individuals who are in different industries within our community, 514 manufacturing employees is like 127% of Simmons Pet Food. Healthcare and social assistance employees is about 42% of Finley Hospital, and 323 accommodation and food service employees is 116% of Diamond Joe Casino, right? This is more and more immigration is becoming a key part in our demographic, our economic, and our civic thriving as a community. And so the question is, how can we as a community work together to make sure that those groups that are coming here are thriving in the way, are getting access to good jobs, are being part of that workforce, are getting what they need in their community to really be able to thrive? And so from that came the Better Together Committee, which is a collaboration of over 90 stakeholders, and nearly a third of those come from immigrant populations themselves, who are there to address the needs and priorities of different immigrant populations. This began with an immigration community assessment that we conducted, but so far over the past year, we trained over 20 different local community members that are Spanish and Marshallese speaking in medical interpretation and created a database where now anybody can access them. And we're actually launching a messaging campaign this month to try to get the word out to healthcare providers and businesses that we have trained local interpreters here that can address needs ranging from doctor's appointments to how do you do a safety training at your manufacturing company for Marshallese employees. We talked about navigation before as an important part of the affordable housing system. We also created a navigator resource group for those navigators who work with immigrant populations so that they have additional support and a place to be able to meet and share best practices and support each other, because our research found that burnout was a major problem for some of the navigators within our community. We've also been holding, we held our second International Student Welcoming event down at the River Museum and have been working a lot with the international students at our colleges. We bring all of these talented, smart, hardworking people to Dubuque, and unfortunately, we lose them when it becomes time to find them a job. How can we work better to retain that population who are coming here? And finally, we have also just launched 2 new projects that we're working on, one around youth leadership, which, it thrills me to see the work that City Life has been doing in iJAG in getting youth engaged and doing leadership work, and then also one to re-up some of the research and make sure that we are still targeting the priorities of our immigrant populations. There's also one other big project that we have been working on in partnership with the city, Mary Rose Corrigan, a number of other staff and other partners, that is around at a time when people are maybe withdrawing from public spaces, how can we get good, trusted local expertise out to different families, right? How can we make sure that people are listening to the public health providers or their doctors instead of whatever their uncle sent them on WhatsApp? And so we have been putting out messages in Marshallese and in Spanish through trusted community connectors focused on things like this is about healthy nutrition. We've done vaccine availability, child safety, but also different legal issues. I just finished today sending out to translators information about Iowa's new hands-free law for driving. How can we get that into Marshallese and Spanish so that our population knows what the law is and knows how to behave appropriately? So this is an exciting new program that we are working on, and it is our hope that this will eventually evolve into a type of community journalism, where it's actually individuals from within those communities producing stories that their communities need to know in the languages that their communities may speak. Finally, I want to go into Envision Dubuque and talk a little bit more about this civic engagement idea that was really led into with City Life. So this past year, we finalized Envision 2030. We were able to collect over 3,000 different community ideas about how to better Dubuque and this city, and we brought them all down to a top 10 ideas, and now we continue to support working groups of residents who are trying to lead those ideas to fruition. So just to update on a couple of them, we don't have time to go through all, but for example, our working group on community-centered housing is now focused on 3 areas. One is around advocacy for tenant rights and the rights of residents of mobile home communities. One about rehabilitating some of the multifamily homes that you might see up on the north end that are degrading in quality, but that could be renovated to produce some of that missing middle housing. And then another one on resident support, tenant support. How do you help people be able to not only get a new home, but get furniture for that home and get connected to resources? Or an interesting element that was added, how do you help residents move out sometimes? Low-income residents often don't have the resources to be able to get a truck or a moving van, and so leave their furniture behind, move into a new place, and have to start all over again. The Heart of Age Play All Ages Sports Group has developed a 6-point action plan that includes a feasibility study and site identification for a new sports complex within Dubuque. And the Captivating Shorelines Group has been working on how to take Mouse Park and Lake and renovate that, work on the JC Floodwall Trail and Volunteer Drive, and then the Shot Tower in Northport industrial area, how can we make those places more accessible and have more amenities connected with the river? In addition, there's a number of other kind of pieces of work that the Community Foundation has been doing connected with this. One of the big ones I want to bring up is the idea of grad partnership. This is a new program that we've been launching with Johns Hopkins University, bringing technical assistance and a evidence-based approach to different schools within our region that is really focused on reducing absenteeism, which was a big problem after the pandemic, and improving student support systems. So through supportive relationships, using data, and really a student-centered mindset. And then other efforts, there is a new summer learning cooperative who has just put out a website for different summer camps that parents can access throughout the community. So if anybody's listening online and you want a summer camp for your kids, there's a website that details every single one and that is filterable and searchable. Our journalism work, we are the only press forward chapter in Iowa and are now focusing on trying to build out community journalism. I want to take a moment to talk about the food provider network too, because with the changes to SNAP that took place at the end of November, this network was meeting very closely in order to share information and really respond to those changes. And then when funding challenges and different kind of shifting priorities have hit this year, and we were losing food pantries and meals at St. Patrick's and the DCSD Family Pantry, the food provider network was able to come together and find replacements, find other organizations to be able to take this on. We've spoken in previous discussions about kind of our systemic stability, right, our resiliency as a community, and what happens if a service provider were to fail. I think what this shows is that collaboration, especially in a group as diverse as the food provider network, can be a huge bolster to systemic resilience, right? Being able to take those issues and those gaps that might spring up, and if we're talking with each other, we can respond to those different situations. And finally, Iowa has for a long time not received the green funding, the environmentally focused funding of a lot of other states. And this year we hosted a convening of over 50 different groups coming in to discuss how can we partner together and maybe bring some of that funding into our region and help supercharge some of the programs that are going on here. So that was a quick run through. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions or anything I can go to, I would love to be able to talk more about it.
Yeah, well, thanks, Alex. You covered a lot of ground, but that's what you guys do. You do a lot. So I really appreciate you running through everything. We do have a few minutes if people have any questions or want to make any comments. Yeah, Ms. Bethel.
I just wanted to, well, first of all, thanks for all the numbers and all the information. You always do such a great job. To dig just a little bit deeper into the upward economic mobility questions, I think it's slide kind of 15 around that area that you shared, and you shared that your thought was that that the reason that we fell behind in the change in household income in Dubuque ranking is potentially because we have newcomers. Those newcomers are, for the most part, immigrants. And so can we correlate that into a need to look at immigrant services specifically? I mean, am I stretching too many, chaining too many things together, or would that be?
No, I would agree with that. It can be hard to know exactly with this data, right? It points in directions and gives things, but my conclusion is that Dubuque has been built on this idea of relationships and close connections. And, you know, part of the way I found a job was through connections when I was moving to town. You know, my family, my wife's family who was living in here had relationships, had people, and they said, hey, do you know of job openings, right? That's how I learned about the Community Foundation, that there was a job availability there, that was a good fit for my skill set. If you are a Marshallese family coming into town, right? If you have language barriers or relationship barriers, if you have a cultural unfamiliarity with the systems that are in place, that creates levels of system within our community that maybe we don't have the formal infrastructure to be able to replace right now. So how do we do that? And I don't think it is just with immigrant populations, though I think those are some of our fastest growing ones. If you look at which, 80% of families in Dubuque County are married families, and about 17% are single mom, and the remaining are single father-led households. But if you look at families below the poverty line, 57% are single mother-led households. So over half of all the families below the poverty line in Dubuque County are led by single mother households. That is another group with limited social connections, limited relationships, and frankly, if you're working multiple times and trying to raise your kids, limited time to go out and build those connections and those relationships. I think that's why the great work that nonprofit organizations are doing to remove those barriers, to build those social connections, and to make sure that we have greater accessibility to the pretty remarkable resources we have in this community. why that's such important work that we need to continue.
Well, and it struck me, Jeremiah spoke about social determinants of health and the importance of looking at somebody's, as it relates to all the things that really call for economic mobility, your transportation, your resources, those things. It makes me wonder about how we could craft a city life like group, but really reach out to folks who have issues with economic mobility and target those folks, because that could be the bridge of connection and the bridge of understanding. And so just trying to even dial in further our city life group, although funds and those things, but in dreaming big, I think that would be a really great way to maybe target folks specifically who could use that upward mobility momentum.
I couldn't agree more, and I will say that the Office of Community Impact has been doing a great job. They've actually offered City Life in both Spanish and Marshallese for community members, which I think is absolutely tremendous. Can we build on that more, right? Can we get more people from those communities engaged in what the city is doing?
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Alex, thank you. I think we're at 6:26. I think I saw some members rushing in right before this meeting, so I'm going to give them a chance to take a breath before we go to our next our full meeting at 6:30. Thank you very much for
Thank you
being
so
here and
much.
providing all
Appreciate
this
it.
information. Looking forward to the next data walk. Thank you very much.
We'll let you know when the date is.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, there's no further business in the work session. We will reconvene in a few minutes at 6:30.
Muted.
Tricia L. Gleason, Assistant City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a regular session of the City Council to be held on Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 6:30 PM in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting such business that may properly come before the City Council.
Good evening and welcome to a regular session of the Dubuque City Council for May 18th, 2026. As a reminder to our participants, you may provide in-person input or virtual audio and written input during the sections of the agenda where the public input is accepted. Input options during the live meeting include in-person attendees may approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any public input on the item they would like to speak to. Remote attendees may log on to GoToMeeting using the login links, phone numbers, and access code that appear on the broadcast and live stream and posted on the front page of the meeting agenda. This option includes audio input and written chat input. If you are participating via computer, indicate which item you would like to speak to in the chat function or note that you would like to speak during the appropriate section. If you are participating via phone, indicate which item you would like to speak to during the appropriate section. All comments, whether in person or virtual, must be accompanied by name and address. Additionally, written public input is accepted by contacting the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/councilcontacts and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. This information will be reiterated during the meeting. On tonight's agenda, item number 7, under items set for public hearing, has been pulled from the agenda. Attendance for this session is as follows. Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Councilmember Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Staver.
Here.
Wethel.
Here.
Lindecker.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Mayor Kavanaugh, I'll turn it over to you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, thank you, Trish. I invite all who are able to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Eric, would you mind pulling the live feed off the screens, please, that we're seeing up here? Thank you. Go ahead, Trish.
Our first item on tonight's agenda is recognition of Zoning Advisory Commissioner for 32 years of service.
Wow, 32 years, right? Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight we have the distinct honor of recognizing an individual whose service to the City of Dubuque has been both extraordinary in length and profound in impact. Zoning Advisory Commissioner Martha Christ. Martha is retiring after an incredible 32 years of volunteer service on the Zoning Advisory Commission. Now we could just say thank you and move on, but 32 years deserves a little bit more perspective. Over her time on the commission, Martha has attended more than 311 meetings. That's essentially showing up every Wednesday night for 6 straight years without missing a beat. She has dedicated at least 26,372 minutes, or 439 and a half hours to this work. That's nearly 18 full days spent in meetings, enough time to fly to Dubuque to Paris 44 times, or walk from Dubuque to San Francisco and still have energy to start heading back. And then there's the 1,369 plus projects she's reviewed. That's rezonings, text amendments, plan unit developments, subdivision plats, and site design waivers. If you stack those staff reports and plans, you have a paper tower that could rival the Shot Tower. Martha hasn't just been here for the meetings, she's been here for the moments that mattered. She's seen the evolution of the Unified Development Code, and she's been part of the conversation around some of Dubuque's most transformative areas, like the Millwork District, the Port of Dubuque, Chaplain Schmidt Island, Asbury Plaza, the inception and growth of our industrial parks. That's just not participation, that's a front row seat to the transformation of this community. Get a little choke up here. But what we remember most, excuse me. Isn't the volume of work, it's how Martha approached it. She has always been a balanced and thoughtful voice. She's listened, really listened to public input, understanding that behind every application is a neighbor, a business owner, a concern, or a dream. And she never hesitated to speak up. Whether she agreed or challenged an idea, she made sure her perspective helped move the conversation forward in a meaningful way. Martha, you've been a constant to the commission, steady, thoughtful, and committed, and the truth is you will be incredibly hard to replace. We are grateful not just for your time, but for your care, your perspective, and your belief in doing this work well. On behalf of the City of Dubuque, we extend our sincere gratitude for 32 years of service and wish you all the best in your next chapter. Martha, thank you for your lasting contributions to this community. Your work will continue to shape Dubuque for generations to come. Thank you.
You look like you might want to say something, Martha. Are you sure? You're sure? Okay, I'm giving you the chance. Yeah. You're welcome, and thank you. I do know somebody who wanted to say something to you, though, so I'll turn it to Ms. Roussel.
I did want to give a personal thank you to Martha for her dedication and 32 years of service. Wow. I worked with Martha when I was on the Zoning Advisory Commission, and we always looked to her for leadership and for great advice, and I thank you so much for your service. We will miss you. Thank you.
Wally, how long have you been with the City of Dubuque?
I've been here for 25 years, so she predates me. Actually, she predates Laura Karstens and Kyle Kritz, too.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura was just there when she started. Yeah. 32 years, though.
Yeah. Well, everybody here, you predate everybody here. So, Martha, thank you so much for your service. That takes some serious dedication from a community member to do that, to do that in a volunteer role. And I just hope you recognize just how much we and the entire community really appreciate you taking all that time and making all that effort. So, thank you for everything that you've done. We appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. All right, we can move to proclamations, Trish. Go ahead.
Okay, moving on to proclamations. Our first proclamation tonight is Public Works Week proclamation, May 17th through the 23rd.
All right, I've got a list of names here, so if you're supposed to be on this list, come on up. I'm not going to call you out. Ariel was the first one on there, and do I see Ariel? Ariel's not even here. So I'll start next. Max O'Brien. Max, you're on the list. You're supposed to be coming up. Luke, Brian, Joe, Ken, Ryan. Come on up. You'd like to say a few things about Public Works Week first, and then I can read the proclamation. Whoever you want to put in charge, Max. Please, and if you just pull the mic down a little bit so you're right in there, yeah.
Sorry, what about?
You can just say anything you like about Public Works Week before I read the proclamation, sure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I apologize. Didn't have anything prepared, but I know this week is National Public Works Week, just in recognition of public works departments across the country.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
we're here.
That's excellent. I'm so glad you're here. And you know, in true Public Works fashion, you're soft-spoken and quiet about the work that you're doing, and mostly just standing there with a smile on your face, ready to get that work done. And honestly, that is what we see in Public Works, in the work that you do here. And you do incredible work in the City of Dubuque. So thank you for everything that you do. We really do sincerely appreciate it. We appreciate the quiet confidence in getting it done. We appreciate the things that you do and the amount of it that you do. I mean, we are about to be in the season where we see you all summer long. And while there might be some moments where we're a little frustrated that we have to take a detour, we really do appreciate that detour is there and what's going to be there afterwards. So thanks for that and for everything else that you do in Public Works. And I'm glad we get to celebrate an entire week just for you. So, City of Dubuque proclamation. Whereas the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 has been designated as National Public Works Week by the American Public Works Association, with the theme Rooted in Service, Powered by Community, to highlight 3 cornerstone ideals that motivate public works professionals to serve in their communities and their dedication to the public health and safety, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Dubuque. Via Public Works, professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and in the private sector. And whereas it is in the public interest for the residents, civic leaders, and children of the city of Dubuque to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And whereas we urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Now, therefore, I, Brad M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the City of Dubuque, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council staff and residents of Dubuque, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as Public Works Week.
Our next proclamation is National Mississippi River Day, June 2nd, 2026.
All right, I believe Jim Earls is here with a group who might be joining him as well, so whoever's with you, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh, City Council. Thank you all for having us here and helping make this proclamation possible. My name is Jim Earls. I'm the program coordinator at Shalom Spirituality Center, 1001 Davis Street in Dubuque. I'm joined here this evening by a couple of Franciscan sisters, Mary Lechtenberg and Marie Seagrand, one of our Franciscan associates, Dave Heyer, and a representative from the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium, Callie Boatwright. And we're so happy that you've agreed to take on this proclamation. We had a couple of oversized copies of the proclamation made and sat out for supportive signatures at the River Museum and at Mount St. Francis. I believe we got well over 100 here and probably another 60 or so supportive individuals who passed through the River Museum. So we're all very grateful that you're helping to bring a little publicity and awareness to this National Mississippi River Day, and also the couple of Indigenous women that will be joining us on June 2nd for a River Day blessing. That would be Mary Ellen Baker and her daughter Karen Donahoe, who are just amazing women from the Lakudere Ojibwe tribal group, and they will be coming in to offer some traditional ceremonial blessings on June 2nd at the River's Edge Plaza along the Mississippi River Walk. So that's the essential gist of what we're here to celebrate, along with the River Day proclamation. And anyone who's interested in that River Day blessing can please visit Shalom's website at shalomretreats.org. We are asking folks to please RSVP if they'd like to join us.
Well, Jim and everybody, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for bringing this proclamation forward and teaming with the River Museum to get it done. And what a great idea to have just the life-size portions there to be able to have people sign that and be able to declare their desire to make sure that something like this is taken care of. You know, we talk a lot about the river and how for a while we seem to have forgotten about it in Dubuque. It was there. We knew it was there. We might go out there every once in a while, but it wasn't something that was a focus like it is today. And so much of the work that's been done to be able to get people closer to the river, have the River Museum there as the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium, bring more attention to such an important, incredible resource that we have right at our doorstep. So thank you for everything that you're doing. We appreciate it, and we look forward to it continuing. So thank you for being here to accept this proclamation. City of Dubuque proclamation. Whereas the Mississippi River is one of our nation's most iconic and vital waterways, spanning approximately 2,350 miles from Minnesota to Louisiana and uniting 10 mainstream states and 32 tributary states in its watershed, serving as a critical source of drinking water for over 20 million Americans, a vital habitat for diverse birds, fish, amphibians, reptiles, and other wildlife, and a powerful economic engine supporting commerce, agriculture, tourism, and recreation. And whereas the health of the Mississippi River is under threat from pollution, habitat loss, climate change, and other environmental stressors, which impact the communities and ecosystems that depend on it. And whereas the city of Dubuque recognizes that the indigenous peoples of this hemisphere have lived near what we now call the Mississippi River since time immemorial, always recognizing the profound cultural, spiritual, and ancestral significance of the river, and that Dubuque was built upon the homelands of the Iowa, Ho-Chunk, Sioux, Meskwaki, Miami, and other indigenous peoples. And whereas One Mississippi and its network of 75 organizations and 20,000 river citizens have designated June 2nd as National Mississippi River Day, urging all people to celebrate, protect, and restore the Mississippi River and its watershed by participating in events and taking action to safeguard this invaluable resource for generations to come. And whereas Dubuque residents may choose to celebrate and safeguard the Mississippi River by participating in a River Day blessing from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesday, June 2nd at the River's Edge Plaza, involving an Indigenous water blessing ceremony with Mary Ellen Baker and Karen Donahoe of the Lakota Ore Ojibwe tribe. Now therefore, I, Brad M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the City of Dubuque, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council staff and residents of Dubuque, do hereby proclaim the 2nd of June, 2026 as National Mississippi River Day. Would you guys like a picture? I see Kevin with me. You want? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Come on up. We can. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Trish.
Now we'll move on to consent items. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the consent items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there's any personal input and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function and state your name and address on the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, the city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. When speaking, please state the item you would like removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and consideration. Consent items can be found on pages 2 through 6 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Trish. Do we have anyone here in chambers who would like to remove any of the consent items for any separate discussion this evening? Seeing no one here. Anyone virtually? Okay. All right. Back to us then.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Wethel.
I move to receive and file the documents, adopt the resolutions, and deal with the consent items as recommended.
Second by Sprank.
Got a motion by Wethel and a second by Sprank. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye, and I would like to abstain from item number 15.
Sprank.
Aye.
All right, so we've got except for number 15, all items pass by a vote of 7-0. Item 15 passes with 6 votes and 1 abstention.
Next on the agenda are items set for public hearing. We have 6 items tonight. Item number 1, private lead service line replacement project pilot program, phase 2. Item 2, petition to vacate 20 feet alley right-of-way lying between Peru Road, Toledo Street, Excelsior Street and Walker Street for vacating petition. Petition to vacate certain street right-of-way easement in Julian Edition. Initiate public bidding process for the Asbury, Carter, and Cheney Traffic Signal Improvement Project. Southwest Arterial US 52 ITS Corridor Project initiate public bidding process. And North Schmidt Island Collection System Project Contract 2. All of these being requested to be set for June 1st, 2026.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell.
I move to receive and file, adopt the resolutions, and set the public hearings for June 1st.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Russell and a second by Wethel. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Moving on to public hearings. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the public hearing items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input for the public hearing you would like to speak to, and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function and state the question, and state your question or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor's ask if there is any virtual input for the public hearing that you would like to speak to. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order.
Go ahead and read number one.
Okay. Public hearing number 1, request to rezone 1836 Washington Street.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file, as well as I move that the requirement that the proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for the passage at 2 city council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Sprank, second by Wethel. Wally, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. The request before you tonight is to rezone property from R2A, alternate 2 family residential, to C4 downtown commercial. The Zoning Advisory Commission held a public hearing, and Pat Norton of Beasing and Associates, let's see if I can get this to fill the page right. Nope. I can hear her coming from the background. Bottom right corner. There we go. Rezone property from R2A, alternate 2 family residential, to C4 downtown commercial district. This is a map, it's a city map that kind of shows the area. The property in question is the black and white hatching located around the former Washington neighborhood garden located on Washington Street. You can see there's a mix of uses, different types of uses in that immediate neighborhood. Okay. We did notify all property owners within 200 feet of the request. All properties highlighted in yellow did receive our notice with regards to the rezoning of this property. The subject property is primarily a flat site. It has frontage along Washington Street to the west and a public alley to the east. As I mentioned before, it's in a mixed-use neighborhood. There are several adjacent land uses, and as I mentioned, the site was currently being used as a public garden. We did review traffic impacts with regards to it, and due to the small site size, it really limits development intensity, and the rezoning is not expected to significantly impact traffic patterns or counts in the neighborhood. There are separate adjacent properties. Like I mentioned, there are residential and commercial. A lot of commercial businesses in the area with Wellborn Painting and Drywall, Service Master. The Dubuque Casket Company houses the Riverview Center, the Dubuque City Assessor. There's a giant laundromat, and then Orange Park is located directly across from the property. Any future redevelopment of the site will require a site plan review by our development review team, And this rezoning supports the comprehensive plan goals for infill development, mixed-use development. Our future land use map designation has identified it as mixed use, and that project aligns with several recommendations in our comprehensive plan. This is kind of a list of the uses, comparing what's allowed in the current R2A zoning district to all the expanded uses that would be allowed in a C4 zoning district. Once again, here's a zoning map that kind of shows that area. The darker orange area you'll see there is C4. We have some different zones to the south. R2A is the light orange color. C2 is the pink color that's shown on your map. Once again, we did notify everyone within 200 feet. We received no public input with regards to the rezoning, but we did field several inquiries about the possible location for the community garden, which will lead us on to the next public hearing right after this one. So by a vote of 5-0, the Zoning Advisory Commission recommends that the rezoning request, and a simple majority vote is required for City Council approval. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Wally. Well, we're in a public hearing to consider rezoning property at 1836 Washington Street from R2A, alternate two-family residential, to C4 downtown commercial. Do we have anyone here in chambers to address us on this item? Seeing no one here. Anyone virtually? Okay, all right. Back to us then for any discussion. Mr. Sprank?
It's a shame that it's no longer going to be a community garden. I'm glad that our next public hearing will discuss more of that. Do we have an idea what the owner wants to actually do with the site? It looks like he wants to build a shop there. That's the impression I got from this application.
Yes, when we spoke with the property owner, he was really heartbroken because he understood that he's such a neighborhood person. He wanted to allow the use of the property for a neighborhood garden. However, his business is starting to expand, and he wants to expand that his existing building located on the corner in order to accommodate some additional uses for his expanding business. So, with regards to that, so that's the intention, is the expansion of his existing building there on the corner of 18th and Washington.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Well, I'll just say, for me, I mean, I do think this is an appropriate rezoning, so I plan to vote for it. And I know that there are concerns about the garden, and I appreciate the fact that we're talking about that right after this, and trying to solve that problem a little bit more, because I think everyone recognizes the garden is an important, having a community garden is important, and being able to have those community gardens in places that are accessible is important. But it's also important to be able to allow expansion of these businesses when we have something like this going on, and we've actually seen Mr. Connor's businesses expanding right before our eyes as we are working on a lot of different housing projects and different things like that. So looking forward to voting for this tonight. Okay. Motion here is to receive and file, waive the 3 readings. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I move for final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Sprank, second by Wethel. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 2 is Unified Development Code Text Amendment to Community Gardens.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Roussel.
I move to receive and file, and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Back to Wally, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. The request before you tonight is to amend the Unified Development Code to add community garden as a principal permitted use in all office, commercial, and industrial zoning districts. Currently, community gardens are only allowed in residential districts, and our work with the Washington Neighborhood Community Garden relocation effort brought forward a key regulatory gap in our community. Several suitable properties across Dubuque cannot be used for gardens simply because the zoning code does not list them as permitted uses. This amendment responds to that need and reflects the Unified Development Code's intent to adapt to an emerging community trend and changing conditions. Community gardens offer significant benefits that extend beyond the parcel they occupy. As outlined in the staff memo, these gardens are low-intensity uses that generate minimal noise and traffic while contributing meaningful to the neighborhood vitality. They improve food access, especially in areas considered food deserts, support social connections among residents, encourage environmental stewardship throughout stormwater absorption and pollinatory support, and make productive use of vacant or underutilized land. Their flexibility allows sites to transition to other uses as redevelopment occurs, just as we just saw before the previous public hearing. Moreover, expanding community gardens may locate aligns closely with the goals of the city's climate action plan, especially around strengthening local food resiliency and expanding opportunities for residents to access locally grown produce. The Zoning Advisory Commission discussed the request and voted unanimously 6-0 to recommend approval of the text amendment, and a simple majority vote is required for City Council approval. Next.
Thank you, Wally. Well, we are in a public hearing to consider amending the Unified Development Code by listing community gardens as a permitted use in all office, commercial, and industrial zoning districts. Do we have any public input on this item? Please.
Hillary Dalton, 1629 Washington Street. I am one of the core volunteers with the Washington Neighborhood Community Garden. We are still in mourning, as you are aware, that we were asked to vacate the space that Mr. Carner generously committed to the neighborhood group over 15 years ago. We thought that we had an agreement with the city that we could relocate to an area that, alas, it turned out that would not be available for relocating the Washington Neighborhood Community Garden. So, the oldest neighborhood in the city of Dubuque, therefore the oldest neighborhood in the state of Iowa, is without free produce available to the highest transient, lowest income per capita, and highest poverty rate per capita neighborhood in the city of Dubuque. We historically produced over 2,000 pounds of fresh produce every growing season. We canned, dehydrated food, taught our neighbors in the neighborhood how to acquire self-sufficiency skills. We worked with children who were in preschool until some of them grew up to graduate from elementary school. They learned how to plant, harvest, distinguish between different cultivars. And when we incorporated laying hens to our community garden through a generous block grant, those children learned how to dig up worms and feed the hens by hand. This is all gone now from the Washington neighborhood. We fortunately have found a generous, albeit possibly temporary home, which is only accessible now either by car or by city bus on work days only. So we do hope that one day we can return to our neighborhood and bring back that fresh produce opportunity in the midst of a food desert in the Washington neighborhood. So we are eager to hear how the rezoning works out, that there are more parcels that become available for growing food to feed people. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillary, for your comments. Any others this evening? Okay. Anything virtually? No. All right. Back to us then for discussion. Ms. Rousseau?
Thank you. I support all the reasons for community gardens that were in the staff memo. They're all great. It's a great way to bring fresh produce to our residents and in bringing people together to make things grow. So I am very much in support of this amendment and look forward to voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Not seeing any? All right. Well, I'll just say that we don't often get too many no-brainers up here, and this is a really easy no-brainer for me. I mean, this one is just, yes, absolutely. We should be able to have community gardens in all these different zoning possibilities. And because there are city parcels and there are private parcels in places where this could work potentially. And with those potentials, I think we need to make sure that we open it up because this is something that the community definitely wants. So I'm looking forward to voting for it. All right, motion here is to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. So Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Roussel.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Wethel.
On a motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 3 is River City Property Management LLC Development Agreement.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
We got a motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council adopt the attached resolution approving a proposed development agreement by and between the City of Dubuque and River City Property Management LLC, providing for the issuance of urban renewal tax increment revenue grant obligations for rehabilitation of property at 1255, 1257 Locust Street. The property at 1255, 1257 Locust Street is currently vacant and structurally sound, offering a strong foundation for reinvestment. Its historic character, layout, and overall building form make it well-suited for a comprehensive rehabilitation that will enhance the exterior facade and create new residential units. River City Property Management, operated by local developer Sam Murley, has previously rehabilitated several residential properties throughout Dubuque, including 245 West First Street, where a locally owned small business occupies the first-floor commercial space. The key elements of the development agreement include the following. Number 1, developer will make a capital investment of approximately $600,000 to rehabilitate the property. Number 2, developer must create 6 residential rental units. Number 3, developer will receive 15 years of tax increment financing incentives in the form of semi-annual rebates. Tax increment financing incentives are estimated not to exceed $120,000. Number 4, city to award a downtown housing incentive grant in an amount of $60,000, which is $10,000 times 6 units. Number 5, city to award a downtown rehabilitation grant not to exceed $35,000 for 1255 Locust Street. Number 6, city to award a downtown rehabilitation grant not to exceed $35,000 for 1257 Locust Street. Number 7, City of Dubuque will amend the Greater Downtown Urban Renewal District Plan to accommodate the issuance of tax increment financing incentives. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We're in a public hearing to consider a development agreement between City of Dubuque and River City Property Management for 1255 and 1257 Locust Street. Do we have anyone here to address us on this item this evening? Seeing no one here, anyone virtually? Okay. All right, back to us then for any discussion. I am Ms. Wethel.
Just really grateful for the investment in this historic property. I think it's going to be a beautiful addition and just filling in gradually the housing needs that we have for density. So yeah, grateful for the development.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Landecker.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, curious on this project. Is it subject to bank financing or has it received bank financing approval? Do we know?
I saw Jill here a minute ago. I'm not seeing her now. Oh, here she comes. It's okay, Jill. Come on up. We have a question for you. I'll have Mr. Leyendecker repeat it while you're walking up.
Sorry, Jill. I'll restate my question. I was curious on this project itself, which I think it's a great project, but curious on is it subject to bank financing or is it contingent on receiving these incentives?
That is Jill Connors, Economic Development Director. that is a matter between the developer and their lender.
Okay.
So that would be if the lender is requiring that their lending is contingent upon getting the incentive, that's their decision.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I was wondering, just overall from an incentive standpoint, are these, needed to rehab the property? I fully understand and respect the cost of rehabbing older historic or near historic properties of this nature. So I was just curious kind of on if we knew a little more insights on the overall economics on the project.
Well, what the policy has been with our grant programs is that if the projects are in the right area of town and they're eligible for the funding and we have available funding, then they are awarded the grants.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You bet.
Any others? Okay. All right, well, the motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. So Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 4 is fiscal year 2026 second budget amendment.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Wethel.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Wethel, second by Roussel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Chief Financial Officer Jennifer Larson and Budget Manager Laura Bendorf are recommending approval of the second fiscal year 2026 budget amendment, which amends the fiscal year 2026 budget for City Council action since the first amendment to the fiscal year 2026 budget, which was adopted in October of 2025, and adjustments to reflect new grants and reallocation of funding. An increase in interfund transfers of $695,838 is also included. The amendment totals $802,511 in increased appropriation authority and an increase in resources of $1,395,120. Additional revenues added to this amendment with offsetting appropriations are Healthy Community Catalyst for $100,000 and Encyclopedia Dubuque Legacy Plan for $750. Reduced revenues reflected in this amendment with offsetting reduction in appropriations, including the Older Adult Home Modification Program for $155,978. This amendment includes an increase of $443,508 for the Community Development Block Grant related programs. The increase in Community Development Block Grant programs includes capital projects of $413,500, zoning enforcement of $8,710, and code enforcement of $10,000. This amendment also includes an increase of $472,930 in the lead paint fund, $430,154 in the general fund, reflecting the increase in ambulance revenue, increase in road use tax fund of $197,000 for Grandview street light replacements, increase in the sales tax fund of $255,838, and an increase in the stormwater construction fund of $361,550 to reflect the BRIC grant consultant and design funding. Additionally, the following changes are a result of savings after the completion of the ERP implementation in our organization. A decrease in the general construction fund of $17,917, the water construction fund of $60,071, decrease in sanitary sewer construction fund of $166,962, a decrease in the refuse construction fund of $1,736, and a decrease in the landfill fund of $53,965. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Well, we're in a public hearing to consider amending the current budget for fiscal year ending in June 26. Do we have anyone here to address us on this item this evening? Seeing no one here. Anyone virtually? No. All right, thank you. I'll bring it back to us then. Jenny, I see you back there. Can I ask you a question real quick, please? So there was increased attention on the budget this year as we went through the budget process. There was just more public input and people paying more attention. So I want to ask this question just for the sake of people who might be paying more attention to this. We just passed a budget why all of a sudden are we moving all this money around to different places? If you could just give us a little more context of like why we do this, how often this happens, just give us a little more on why this is in front of us tonight.
Okay. Jennifer Larson, Chief Financial Officer. So typically, the city does 2 budget amendments each fiscal year. The first one happens shortly after we start the fiscal year in July. So most of that has to do with large capital projects that have not been completed. So we're carrying over those budgets into the next year's budget in order to finish those projects. So that's the majority of amendment number 1. The second amendment that is in public hearing now is typically picking up things that either city council has approved or things we didn't know about when we adopted the budget. So if you think about it, we adopt the budget back in April, and so a lot of things occur like new grants, other funding changes that we have to address so that we have the spending authority in our budget. And then the last part of the memo was we completed our ERP implementation, so we had some savings there. So the budget is freeing up those funds.
Got it.
or
And
the
just for
amendment.
clarity, this is the budget that we passed in April of '25.
Yes, April of '25,
Yeah.
the fiscal year 2026 budget.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Other questions? Mr. Spring?
Jenny, just clarifying, the community development block grants, big words, that funding stream comes from HUD, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
As well as like the lead paint funding, that also comes from HUD.
Yes,
All right.
both do.
Okay. That was my main question as to where those funds were coming from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wetha?
Jenny, I don't know if you're the person to ask this question of, and I'm sorry if I missed it in my reading. The older adult home modifications grant is a reduction in revenue in this amendment. Can I just learn, or could anyone share more information about why that occurred?
I'm going to, Laura Bendorf, the budget manager, is online. I'm going
Oh,
to
okay.
ask if she can respond to that question.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, good evening, Laura Bendorf, Budget Manager. I believe it's a reduction from the budget, not a reduction in overall funding, so the budget in '26.
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Leidecker?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thanks. 2 questions. One on the amendment number 2, 26 council detail document. Page 2 shows there's golf fees and cart rentals for $48,000, but it's included in the expense item versus revenue. Is that accurate? That's an expense versus revenue?
Yeah, I will call on Laura Bendorf again. I see what you're saying. They're both revenue object codes listed in the expense column. Is that a correction that needs to be made, Laura, after year end?
I believe so. I'm looking at it right now as well. I believe that's a correction that needs to occur.
Okay. And then the other one, which relates directly to the finance department from a physical presence standpoint, is I see on page 5 of that same document that there's the remodel expense associated with moving out to the Chabanel site for the finance relocation. And that's in here at $675,293. And I do recall back in March, we approved the build out expense of $441,000. And wonder, I see that there's a line item in there that says adjust to actual. Was that build out over budget?
No. So the construction award was just for construction. So the other piece of it is we actually have to like furnish the offices. There's like some appliances in the kitchenette that have to go in, some of those non-construction related expenses. So the amount you're seeing is the total budget
that was approved, and we're just amending it into the budget.
Okay. Do you know overall from what we anticipated, was that over or under budget?
The construction award was under by approximately 98,000, I believe.
Okay.
There were a few change orders that have been signed, but I expect the construction contract to come under budget.
It's great to hear. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Can I follow up on Mr. Leindecker's first question here then with the, if there is a correction that's needed on page 2, which was specific to the recreation division, so it was golf fees and golf cart rental, am I correct that that's what we're talking about there? The 48,000 apiece?
Correct.
Yeah. How do we need to go about making that correction if we're gonna approve this evening?
My recommendation would be to approve it as is, and then we will incorporate any necessary changes in the First Amendment for the next budget year if needed.
Okay. So then you recognize the fact, basically, that there is a correction that's going to be needed, and we advance that correction to the next budget amendment that we're going
Right.
to make. Okay. All right. Is that the standard practice for how you do that? If you notice a mistake after we pass something like this?
Typically, yes, because anything related to the budget has to have a proof of publication, a minimum of 10 days prior to the hearing. So, yeah, I would recommend that we just take care of it with the next budget amendment.
Okay. All right. And I'm guessing that if it was something that was really significant, which there's not a ton of really significant facts, amounts on this particular document, but if there was something, like to the tune of millions of dollars, probably be a separate item, right? I mean, we'd bring that separately forward or remove it from this?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Something significant, yep.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Staver.
So I had a question on, I guess, page 7. So these totals at the end here, this, 1,498,349, is that, in the positive? So that's what, the difference between what we proposed it was going to cost and what it actually cost, or?
No, so the column on the left-hand side, if it's a positive number, would be increase in expenditures.
Yeah.
So it's increasing expenditures by roughly 1.5 million. And then the column on the right side is an increase in revenues.
So it's a net positive about 500,000?
Right, so we're amending in revenues that the city had received that most likely we had started.
So what happens to that money then? If it was budgeted for and it wasn't used, and or that we had a surplus in the revenues or
So we won't know until we close the fiscal year what our fiscal year end looks like. But typically, we would first keep our general fund reserve at 27%, and then any remainder could be used in the next year's budget process, or if there are other needs are identified by the city manager, those could be recommended to council.
Okay. And then there was one charge in here that caught my eye for the airport, like 418,000, just as payments to other agencies. What does that mean?
What page are you referring to, Mr. Staver?
It's 2, I think, of 7.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that was related to the airport revenue guarantee, so that's the amount that was not used. So it's being put back into the general fund since it was not used for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Landick?
I would just say, and granted, this is my first time going through a budget amendment, so I can only use that for so much longer, I think. But on some of these adjust to actuals, and I know there's a bunch of adjust to actuals on here, and I don't know how you would do this efficiently, but I do think maybe having a footnote for some of these, maybe if it's over a certain dollar amount, would be helpful. Maybe to Mr. Staver's point, just the quick reconciliation to say it was under utilized or not utilized money that went back into the general fund would be helpful. Something like that, I think, would just add a little more color on this document, because there is a lot of moving parts on here, and I appreciate all the work that goes into these budget amendments. That's for sure, but that might be just something to think about going forward.
We do try to address explanations for larger items in the staff memo, for example, but we could definitely expand on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it. And Laura, thank you very much for the information. All right, well, the motion here is to receive and file and adopt this resolution. So, Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 5 is B Branch Trail Project, Phase 3, 12th to 9th Street, Iowa DOT project.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Sprank, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Engineer Gus Sahoyas is recommending City Council approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and construction estimate of $236,750.10 for the Bee Branch Creek Trail Project Phase 3. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We're in a public hearing to approve the plan specifications form of contract for the Bee Branch Creek Trail Project Phase 3. Do we have any public input on this item? Seeing none here. Anything virtually? All right. Okay, back to us then for any discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Sprank.
question for the city manager. Can you remind me what the funding source of this is from?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the city engineer to step up and answer the questions on the project.
It's up as high as it'll go. Good evening, this is Gus Sahoyas, city engineer. So it's basically DMAT's TAP grant, it's 80%, and there's a city match of 20%. So $214,000 is coming from the TAP grant through DMAT's, and the other 20% is local funds.
That works for me. Thank you, Gus.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Gus. All right, seeing and hearing none. Looking forward to having more trails, that's for sure. So I'm glad that this is happening. Motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. So Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 6 is Greyhound Park Road Water Main Loop Project.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Russell, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Water Department Director Christopher Lester is recommending City Council approval of the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of $290,972 for the Greyhound Park Road Water Main Loop Project. This project provides for the installation of approximately 785 linear feet of 8-inch ductile iron pipe north of the existing dog track on Greyhound Park Road. Currently, water does not circumnavigate the entire island. The island's water supply comes through a 12-inch water main connection along the East 16th Street Bridge. To ensure a sound, fully functioning system, a backup redundant supply of water that does circumnavigate the island is needed, allowing repairs anywhere on the island to have access to water. The new waterway main will create a loop system and provide a redundant water supply, supporting improved reliability and service. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully recommend Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Well, we're in a public hearing to approve the plan specification form of contract and estimated cost for the Greyhound Park Road Water Main Loop Project. Do we have any public input on this item? Seeing none here. Anything virtually?
No.
Nothing there. Back to us then for discussion. Not seeing or hearing any. Okay, Motion here is to receive and file and adopt this resolution. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Liondecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 7-0.
Moving on to public input. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting may address the city council on an action item from this agenda or on the matters under the control of the city council. For all persons attending, please approach the podium and state your name and address when the mayor asks if there is any person input. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Individual remarks are limited to 5 minutes, and the overall public input is limited to 30 minutes. Under Iowa Open Meetings Law, the city council can take no formal action on comments given during the public input or that do not relate to an action item on the agenda.
Thank you, Trish. We'd welcome any public input this evening, if we have any. Please, come on up.
Howdy, folks. My name's Dale Lesline, 17345 Asbury Road, and I'm with the Dubuque County ATV-UTV Alliance. And today, anyhow, I'm here to ask for a big favor for a very small issue. And this is what we have going on. We've been working with the city of Asbury to try and get a UTV ordinance. And we have several council members that are hesitant in passing a UTV ordinance because of a half-mile section of Asbury Road from Sipo Road to approximately Briarwood that is in the city limits of Dubuque. And this would prevent side-by-sides from legally entering or exiting the city of Asbury. And what we would like, and I understand anyhow, they don't want to pass an ordinance and have their residents picked up, and we don't want to have our county residents in this thing. And we also don't want to have our law enforcement having issues with this as well on it. And so today what we would like to do is we would like to ask the city for a variance on this half-mile section of Asbury Road contingent on the city of Asbury passing a UTV ordinance. And we've been very successful in the state of Iowa. We have 931 towns. We have a 100% success rate. And this section of Asbury Road that we're talking about is farmland. There is a farmer on this, and he operates an ATV going farm to farm for many years successfully and has had no issues on it. And we're here today because we want to do this legally. We want to find a legal way to get in and out of the city of Asbury, and we need your help on this little half-mile section. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale, for your comments.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Mike? I'm just to iterate what Dale said. I live at, my name's Kevin Hennings. I live at 2100 Messina Court, Asbury, Iowa. And I actually have to go down through an empty lot to get on the county road so I can go into Piasta to gas up my units. And I'd like to be able to go in and out of Asbury. We have the support of the mayor and of Tom Hannaberry, our police chief. So they're all supporting this. And these ball people have been, well, they're relatives of mine, so they run all up and down on the road on this section. So, and I've never seen a policeman on there, and we just want to do it right. That's all we want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for your comments. Any other input this evening? Anything virtually? Okay. All right. We can move on to action items then, please.
Next are action items. Action item number 1, city manager recommendation to appoint Assistant Chief of Police Joe Meserich as the next City of Dubuque Chief of Police.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file and approve.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Roussel and a second by Wethel. Mike, please.
I want to provide an overview of the recruitment and evaluation process for the next chief of police and to recommend approval of the final candidate for appointment. This appointment requires approval by a majority vote of the City Council in accordance with Iowa Code, which states, and I quote, "In cities under a council-manager form of government, the city manager shall make the appointments with the approval of the City Council," close quotes. Chief Jeremy Jensen was appointed Chief of Police in February of 2022. Since his appointment, Chief Jensen has served with distinction, providing consistent leadership, guided departmental operations, and supported key community engagement initiatives. Chief Jensen has formally notified the city of his intent to retire effective August 3rd, 2026. In anticipation of this leadership transition, the city manager initiated the recruitment and assessment process for identifying the next chief of police. So what was the scope of the recruitment? I made the decision to start this recruitment only accepting applications from current Dubuque Police Department employees. The city of Dubuque has an extremely talented group of police officers at every level in the department. You only need to look at the outcomes the department produces to identify that fact. The state of Iowa is one of the safest states in the country, and Dubuque is one of the safest large cities in the state of Iowa. And looking at the 2025 Dubuque Police Department annual report is very instructive. Now, before I look at that report, I just learned while I was sitting here tonight that Dubuque has been ranked the 15th safest mid-sized city in the country, only second in Iowa only to the city of Ames. So that's just a new fact of some of the accomplishments of our community and of our police department. But to go on with the police department annual report, the total Part 1 crimes in Dubuque fell by more than 24% from 2023 to 2025. In 2025, the total number of Part 1 crimes decreased by 4.4% from 2024 and was 14.4% lower than the 5-year average. The national crime clearance rate for crimes against persons is 48%. The Dubuque Police Department's clearance rate for these crimes is 56%. The national crime clearance rate for crimes against property is 14%. The Dubuque Police Department's clearance rate for these crimes is 37%. In 2025, the Dubuque Police Department responded to 6 incidents of shots fired. This figure represents the lowest total since 2020 and is a small fraction of the number that are in other Midwest cities. The Dubuque Police Department has embraced technology as a force multiplier, including the creation of the Precision Policing Center staffed by 4 civilian positions. The Dubuque Police Department has a stellar reputation for working with other agencies, including the Dubuque County Sheriff's Office. Community-oriented policing is not just a unit in the police department, it is a philosophy of how the entire department operates. 2 impressive examples of how the Dubuque Police Department supports crime prevention is the School Resource Officer Program and the Crisis Intervention Team. To support this high-profile executive search, the city engaged MGT Consulting, a third-party recruitment and public sector advisory firm. An introductory project meeting was held on Thursday, February 26, 2026, with Assistant City Manager Corey Burbach, Talent Acquisition Manager Kristen Dietz, and the MGT recruitment team. The city requested MGT's assistance in 3 primary areas. Number 1, candidate review and evaluation. MGT was asked to assist with the structured evaluation of all applicants, including reviewing candidate credentials based on the job description and established qualification criteria, narrowing the applicant pool to candidates meeting minimum and preferred standards, administering a multi-stage evaluation process consisting of completion of a detailed professional experience questionnaire, a live consultant-led video interview of almost 60 minutes, reference checks for selected candidates, and internet and social media screening for finalists. Number 2, presentation of recommended candidates. MGT was also tasked with preparing and delivering a comprehensive recruitment report, including a candidate portfolio with key credentials and standardized summary resumes, a complete log of all applicants with resumes, delivery of the report prior to the recruitment report presentation meeting, and a detailed briefing with city leadership to review findings and provide additional candidate insights. Number 3, background screening. For finalists, MGT conducted a robust background investigation, including Social Security trace and verification, U.S. federal criminal search, enhanced verified national criminal search, county and statewide criminal checks, civil litigation search, bankruptcy lien and judgment review, motor vehicle record screening, and education verification for all degrees. The civil service process. On April 14, 2026, the Civil Service Commission certified the police chief eligibility list. This list, forwarded to the City Council on April 20th, 2026, includes 2 exceptional internal candidates, Rick Fulmer and Joe Mesrich. Interview panels. There were multiple interview panels involved in the process as follows. The main interview panel was City Manager Mike Van Milligan, City Attorney Crenna Brumwell, Assistant City Manager Corey Burbach, Fire Chief Amy Scheller, and Community Impact and Neighborhood Support Director Antonio Muzan. The police staff interview panel was Corporal Chris Gurrell, Lieutenant Ann Dodeman, Lieutenant Luke Bach, Corporal Joel Cross, Corporal Justin Dura, COP Officer Alicia Clowiter, Record Supervisor Shelley Laird, Patrol Officer Dylan Dorgis, Patrol Officer Austin Manders. The community and staff interview panel consisted of Michael Taylor, Anthony Allen, Amy Hawkins, Carla Heathcote, Emergency Management Agency Coordinator Tom Berger, and Emergency Communications Director Jessica George Rethwich. Sheriff Joe Kennedy was unable to participate in the interview process, but his opinion was provided. Results from interview panels. There was near unanimous support for the selection of Assistant Chief Joe Mesrich for appointment as the next Chief of Police. Stakeholders consistently highlighted Assistant Chief Mesrich's extensive command experience, professional training, leadership across multiple divisions, and strong community and interagency involvement. His qualifications align with the city's commitment to modern policing, organizational development, and effective public service delivery. And here is a candidate summary of Assistant Chief Joe Mesrich. He brings more than 2 decades of progressive experience with the Dubuque Police Department and a strong record of operational leadership, community partnership, and organizational stewardship. He's been a senior law enforcement leader with extensive command experience, a master's of business administration with emphasis in leadership and human resource management, and he's a graduate of the FBI National Academy and the Police Executive Research Forum Senior Management Institute for Police. His career progression at the City of Dubuque Police Department includes being a police officer in the Patrol Division from 2001 to 2007, being a corporal in the Community-Oriented Policing Division from 2007 to 2009, being a corporal in the Criminal Investigation Division from 2009 to 2011, being a lieutenant in the Patrol Division from 2011 to 2018, being a lieutenant in the Community-Oriented Policing Division from 2018 to 2020, being a captain in the Patrol Division in 2020, being a captain in Professional Standards and Internal Affairs from 2020 to 2022, and being the Assistant Chief of Police from 2022 to the present. His leadership and specialized experience includes the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force participant, an active shooter response instructor and coordinator from 2006 to 2020, the tactical unit leadership, including rifle team supervisor and entry team member, field training officer and supervisor, mentoring and developing new officers, and an adjunct instructor at the University of Dubuque in sociology and law enforcement. His professional contributions include an executive board member for Scouting America, Northeast Iowa Council, chair of our Risk Management Committee, a member of the City Safety Committee and Incident Review Team, and a member of the City Assessment and Care Team. His education includes a Master of Business Administration from the University of Dubuque, a Bachelor of Business Administration and Human Resources Management, summa cum laude, and the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy Certified Peace Officer. Based on the comprehensive recruitment, evaluation, and stakeholder review process, I respectfully recommend that the mayor and city council approve my appointment of Assistant Chief of Police Joseph Mesrich as the next chief of police for the city of Dubuque.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Well, I'll open it up here for everybody, but I'll kick us off first. So Assistant Chief Mesrich, I think this is a great choice. I really do. I think, first of all, let me just talk about our process. I think it's incredibly thorough, as Mike just pointed out, in a very, very detailed memo. But I appreciate that it is, and I appreciate that we take the care that we do to be able to talk about one of the more important positions within our community. We do this obviously for the police chief. We did this for our fire chief. And I think it's really important that we go through that process. I agree with Mike that looking internally first was the right move. I think that we absolutely do have incredibly talented officers on the force and appreciate everything that you do. We talk about that frequently here. I hope you hear it. I hope you believe it, because I think it's true. Actually, I shouldn't say I think. I know it's true in what we're saying up here. We're doing our best to try to support you in the way we need. And Chief Jensen, we appreciate the work that you have done getting the department to where it is. You stepped into this position after a lot of experience of your own within the department. You came after a transition of someone who'd been in the role for a long time. It was a difficult time in losing our chief. And you came in and you kept it strong, and you've done a wonderful job in carrying this forward. So thank you for everything that you have done in this. So I, for one, I'm going to be voting for this. Looking forward to doing so. So with that, I'll open it up to other members of the council to see if you have anything to say. Ms. Rousseau.
Thank you. I think it's wonderful to see our assistant chief receive this opportunity. His resume is so extensive. His experience is so broad. He knows our community well, and his list of specialized training is very impressive. So I am honored to support his promotion to serve as our next chief of police. Thank you.
Ms. Wethel.
I'd just like to thank both applicants for going through the process. The process obviously is quite tedious. And so just the time, investment, and personal will to do that work, to go through this process is quite a task that I'm grateful we had two internal candidates that wanted to do that. I think it's a great example of working to nurture a department of belonging and care for one another, and bringing each other up in experiences and how we can continue to support all of our Dubuque police officers in their work and encourage them to engage in professional development. So I too am very grateful for this opportunity to support tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Wethel. Mr. Staver.
Yeah, I'd also like to say I was very impressed with the resume. I mean, that was an incredible amount of accomplishments throughout your career. I'm very happy it came from internal, and I would also like to say when we went through the departments, I think your humble, genuine demeanor was really impressive. I mean, both you gentlemen were really class acts, and I'm happy for you. So congratulations.
All right, any others? The last thing I'll say directly to you, currently Assistant Chief Mesrich, is continue to push us. I think Chief Jensen has done this, and is, I think back to things like discussions about cameras, for example, and the long-winded discussion that we had about that. But he kept coming to make sure that the point that he was trying to make on behalf of the department was made to us and to the public. So I would ask that you continue to educate us, continue to educate the public on the needs that you have in the department, and bring to us, what you need to say that we need to know. I hope that, I believe you'll do that. I trust that you'll do that. I've worked with you for a number of years now here in this role, and I know that you'll be able to keep doing it, but I'm just encouraging you to do so, because I know that you're speaking for the whole department, and I want to make sure that the public hears that and that we hear that as well, because we still have challenges ahead of us that we need to address, so please do. All right, well, without further ado, we will take a vote on this. So the motion here is to receive and file and approve the recommendation of the city manager. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mayor, before calling the roll, I'd like to note that Councilmember Resnick had to leave his virtual attendance for tonight's meeting.
All right, and we thank Mr. Resnick for joining us. He was only able to be here for a part of the meeting. No one take that personally. It was just a time, he said it was right around 8 o'clock he was going to have to leave, so we understand his needing to step away. Please.
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Well, that motion passes 6-0, so let me be the first to congratulate our future police chief, Joe Mesrich. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, on to number 2.
Action item number 2 is Loris Boulevard and Locust Street Storm Sewer Reconstruction Project Award Public Improvement Contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion by Sprank, second by Roussel. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Engineer Gus Ahoyas is recommending City Council award the public improvement construction contract for the Loris Boulevard and Locust Street Storm Sewer Reconstruction Project to Ganson Excavating in the amount of $512,919.92 for both the base bid and alternate number 1, which is 8% below the revised estimate of probable costs through adoption of the attached resolution. The construction estimate of probable costs is increased by $78,400 since the project public hearing memo, reflecting final plan cost adjustments, pre-bid addendum, and incorporating the alternate bid number 1 estimated cost. This project involves replacing approximately 375 feet of failing storm sewer beneath Loris Boulevard and reconstructing the full width of pavement from the intersection of Loris Boulevard and Locust Street eastward to Main Street. The project will also reconstruct all pedestrian ramps within the limits to meet current ADA standards. As part of the project, the bid documents include alternate bid number 1 for the removal and replacement of the concrete pavement on Loris Boulevard between Bluff Street and Locust Street. In advance of this summer's construction, the Loris and Bluff intersection was recently reconstructed to ensure it can remain open and accommodate the designated traffic detour route during the project. Staff believes it is the appropriate time to replace this 1-block segment of older concrete pavement from Bluff to Locust. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none and hearing none. Motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Action item number 3 is Loris Boulevard Reconstruction and Repairs Project Award Public Improvement Contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Assistant Public Works Director, Project Manager Max O'Brien is recommending City Council award the public improvement contract for the Loris Boulevard Reconstruction and Repair Project to Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete in the amount of $405,706.20 through adoption of the attached resolution. This contract award amount is 6.92% more than the engineer's estimate. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion do we have? Can I ask one question, Max? I'm sorry to bring you up, just it's a simple one. If you could just tell us, just for the sake of public knowledge, we're talking about the Loris reconstruction project. Can you tell us from where to where that we are actually talking about this? Like what streets, like what cross street to what cross street?
Max O'Brien, Assistant Public Works Director. So the previous project is basically from Bluff to Main Street. This project is from Walnut down to Bluff Street and just various activities within that limit. So from Walnut to Prairie Street, it'll be kind of a full reconstruction between curb to curb, but then it's individual panel replacements from Prairie down to Bluff Street.
Okay. So it's the major hill part of Loris,
Yes.
and obviously we're thinking Ragbri as we speed this up, as you mentioned in the memo. Everything that's beyond that goes up past Loris College and up the other hill, what are we talking about there?
So further to the west of Walnut, so from Walnut up to University, that was the crack ceiling project that we had. It was on the last council agenda, so that contractor is actually starting work this week on the portion between Alta Vista and Walnut.
Excellent.
So
Great. All right, thank you. It brings clarity to that. I know we've got a lot of questions about that right now, so I really appreciate you being able to point all that out. All right. Any others? Okay. Well, motion here is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel. Aye. Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 4 is 2026 Public Works Asphalt Milling Profile Project Award Public Improvement Contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Sprank.
I motion that we receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Sprank, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Assistant Public Works Director, Project Manager Max O'Brien is recommending City Council award the public improvement contract for the 2026 Public Works Asphalt Milling Profile Project to WK Construction in the amount of $135,229.47. This award contract amount is 7.29% less than the engineer's estimate. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? Not seeing any or hearing any. All right, motion here is to receive and file, adopt the resolution. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 5 is ordinance establishing minimum sanitary sewer charges for fiscal year 2027.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file, and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Roussel, second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Water and Resource Recovery Center Director Darren Meering is recommending City Council approval of the ordinance amending Section 13-2C3C of the Code of Ordinance to adjust the minimum sanitary sewer charges by 9% in support of the adopted fiscal year 2027 budget. Following adoption of the ordinance establishing the sanitary sewer rates per 100 cubic feet and rate per each gallon, staff identified that the minimum sanitary sewer charges were not adjusted as part of the ordinance amendment. The minimum sanitary sewer charges should also reflect the same 9% increase adopted for the fiscal year 2027 sanitary sewer rates to fully support the adopted fiscal year 2027 budget. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
All right, thank you, Mike. This is the first time I remember this happening. Is this something that was just a simple error that and I might ask you to come up, Darren, if that's all right, just so we can make sure we answer the question fully. So we just didn't identify that there were numbers that hadn't been changed, and we were supposed to change those numbers. In years past, have those numbers just been changed, and that's why we never had to come back and fix it? Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Water and Resource Recovery Center Director Darren Meering. Yeah, so normally there's 2 sections of the ordinance that we change and update every year when we adopt the new budget. And one is, as outlined in the memo, talking about the rate we charge per gallon or per cubic foot. And then there's another section that actually establishes the base rate. So that part was just missed this time.
Got it. Okay. All right. So it's just a simple error of essentially like a Scrivener's error that we needed to fix coming back. Okay.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
it's not completely unheard of. I can think of a time at some point in the last 10 to 15 years where we had to do something similar related to public works and some refuse rates. Just every once in a while, there's little correction that we have to make.
Sure.
And since the ordinances don't go into effect until July 1, when we notice it, we have the time to correct it. And that's why you'll see this ordinance also goes into effect July 1.
Got it. All right, thank you. That's very helpful. That explains the answer to my question. Do we have any other questions or discussion? All right. Motion here is to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell?
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Russell, second by Wethel. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 6 is fire cost recovery billing ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Wethel?
I move to receive and file, and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Wethel, second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. Fire Chief Amy Scheller is recommending City Council approval of a fire cost recovery ordinance, including the associated fee schedule. In October of 2025, the Dubuque Fire Department presented a long-term financial sustainability strategy intended to support future operational needs, minimum staffing improvements, and enhanced emergency response capabilities throughout the community. And this presentation was to the City Council. The strategy identified 3 primary components, including modernization of ambulance billing rates, utilizing the annual GEMT cost reporting methodology, implementation of a fire cost recovery billing program, and negotiated operational savings associated with the department's public consulting group contract. Since that time, the department has implemented the ambulance billing modifications and previously completed the negotiated PCG contract adjustments. The department is now advancing the remaining component of the strategy through implementation of the proposed fire cost recovery program and associated ordinance structure. Establishing this ordinance is a needed step in creating the legal and administrative framework necessary to recover eligible costs associated with specific emergency response incidents, including motor vehicle accidents, hazardous materials incidents, vehicle fires, specialized rescue responses, and other eligible emergency mitigation activities or recovery from a responsible party or insurer is permitted. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion or questions? Ms. Russell?
Question. I had asked this question earlier, but wondered if we might clarify that these are things that we hadn't billed in the past, but these are new recovery methods. Is that right?
Right, so in October of 2025, Chief Scheller made a presentation to the Mayor and City Council detailing a path forward. The path generally was designed to fund the addition of 14 firefighter positions, 5 of which you approved in the current fiscal year budget, 9 of which you approved in next year's budget, subject to us, the city receiving a federal SAFER grant, SFER. We did receive notification today, by the way, that the SAFER grant process is open for application, so probably at your June 1st City Council meeting, you'll be asked to consider and approve the SAFER grant, but the SAFER grant requires matching funds in order to add the 14 firefighter positions, and so this is one of the sources of the funds.
Thank you.
Other questions, discussion? Mr. Staver?
So if I remember, the way this was kind of laid out was that essentially this would be recovery of costs from insurance companies only?
So I'm going to ask Chief Scheller to address that level of specificity, please.
Good evening, Amy Scheller, Fire Chief, Dubuque Fire. Yes, that's the intent, is to use that mechanism to recover eligible costs from the insurance companies.
So I thought when we talked about it, it was gonna be limited to the insurance company, but I see a lot of language in the ordinance that, says directly to any responsible party. I mean, it doesn't say specifically just the insurance company. It sounds like you can pursue anybody.
Well, when we did the RFP and attempted to identify the future vendor that will be partnering with us to do the cost recovery, they recommended that we work with city legal to craft out an ordinance that gave us the best opportunity to collect from the insurance companies, and that's why you see that like overarching language.
Mhm. And you have to have that language in there in order to collect from the insurance company?
The way it was drafted, this was done by Assistant City Attorney Jason Lehman, working in conjunction with the fire department. My understanding of the way that it was drafted was done in a way that maximizes the recovery, as Chief mentioned, but it does not eliminate our ability to do is it called balanced?
Balanced billing.
Balanced billing, which gives us the opportunity to, if we bill X and we recover Y from the insurance company, we can balance bill, adjust that.
We would have that opportunity, though we did the
Right.
RFP that did not require that balance billing to our taxpayers. So this would give us an opportunity if we decided that maybe individuals that come in that aren't taxpayers, we could balance bill them. But as of the writing of the RFP, we're not intending to balance bill at all.
But you could, if you wanted to, right? Yeah, I feel like that's not the way it was really laid out to me originally, because we're saying that now, that we're not gonna bill them, but, down the road, the next council member or the next manager decides, I think we will bill them, that kind of bothers me, because it's not, I don't feel like what I thought it was.
Yeah, we discussed the structure fire response as well, and we will not be including or signing that contract with the cost recovery vendor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
So you could potentially still collect without having that language in there, just, you might get some resistance.
There would be some legal limitations, I believe, from a collection standpoint. As part of this process, my understanding is there has been some discussion with the agency that is used by other departments from the city related to using collections, and that if there's not specific language in the ordinance, it presents a challenge for them and they don't think it's actually enforceable.
What was the amount that you thought you would recover using this ordinance? Didn't you have some
It's
projection?
approximately 120,000 to 140,000. It's not a substantial amount when you look at cost recovery, but still a position and a half as far as a firefighter recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Can I follow up real quick before I open it up to Mr. Sprank is next? Can you repeat what you just said? You said something about it's not enforceable if we don't have this language? Not enforceable even for like to bill the insurance companies?
No, not to bill the insurance companies, but if we needed to send somebody to collections or we needed to enforce it in court, we needed to be able to point to an ordinance that allowed us to recover the dollar amount.
Okay. Okay, and, all right, I'll come back to that. I'm going to sit with that for a second. Thank you very much, Krenna. Mr. Sprank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Krenna or Chief, I'm not sure who would like to, can you talk a little bit more about, I'm actually reading the ordinance, I'm on page 4, section K, the hardship waiver. Do we have, like, will our guidelines be for that?
So that would be in K2.
Yes.
So if you look in determining whether the hardship exists, we would consider the resources of the responsible party, whether and to what extent insurance coverage is available, nature and severity of the incident, whether it was accidental or beyond the reasonable control of the responsible party, and any other factors deemed relevant for fairness and equity.
All right. I guess that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that one. I mean, so if we're not intending to to charge the taxpayer, why would they need a hardship waiver?
Again, when we went through the process, after we had the meeting, the end of the year, last year, we identified the billing vendor and then used their recommendations and
This
strategies.
is all their language?
It's like, it's insurance best practice for leveraging the best ability to recover costs. So the vendor that we've selected has done this. They have over 2,000 clients. 7 of them are in Iowa, 140 of them are in Illinois, 40 of them are in Wisconsin. So that's what we followed, is a lot of their guidance and language, working with city legal.
I'm looking at E5. It says submission of a claim to insurance shall operate as a waiver for any charges or otherwise to limit the ability to pursue full cost recovery. So does that essentially let them off the hook as long as they have insurance?
Yeah, we're asking that our citizens will submit that insurance claim to insurance or work with our cost recovery vendor, very similar to EMS billing, very, very similar.
As a waiver of any charges. Am I thinking about that right, Brenna? So if they submit an insurance, their claim, then that acts as a waiver for any additional charges? Whatever their insurance doesn't cover, they're cleared of it now. It acts as a waiver.
I'm looking at it. Give me a second here.
E5.
I believe that is how I would read that. Not being involved in the drafting, I could check with Assistant City Attorney Jason Lehman to ensure that that was the intent.
Yeah, so that kind of contradicts E4.
Well, on E4, a responsible party has a broader definition. So responsible party can be a person, firm, corporation, or other entity. So it's possible that in some incidents you could have more than one responsible party.
Like, okay, so 2 different insurance companies, maybe 2 drivers or something?
Potentially, yeah. Or you could have a bad actor in an insurance company.
All right, I'm going to keep working around the table here. Ms. Wethel, you got a question?
So I'll just follow up on that. So for instance, if somebody has Medicare and then they have a secondary insurance, that would be an example in which that item would make sense. Is that true?
Potentially. So like if you think about personal insurance, people oftentimes carry homeowners or automobile insurance, and then they carry like an umbrella carrier. So in the case here where we could be talking about non-medical, like emergency response.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So you could, let's say there was limited amount of coverage for X, an umbrella could kick in above and beyond that, like an umbrella policy. Potentially. It's one example anyway.
Okay. May I follow that a little bit more? And so maybe an example would be if there were 2 insurances that were being billed for separate reasons for liability for an incident, then one would be maybe the primary, and then the secondary would potentially take the responsibility for the additional fees that were not covered by the primary insurance coverage provider. Is that a realistic way to look at it?
Yes. So I'm trying to think of a good example here. Think you've got a car accident where somebody ran a stop sign, but somebody else was driving and was on their cell phone. Both would be in the wrong there. Both would be in violation of the law. We have to respond. We have to clean up vehicles. The fire department cleans up fluids. They have to, appear on scene, kind of a thing. We're likely going to bill both in that scenario. So one person may be more responsible for the accident by running a stop sign, but the other one may have a ticketed violation as well. Both would be responsible for use of our services potentially there. So we would likely bill both insurance companies.
Chief Scheller, have you, where you have worked before, is this a process I believe that you have shared in the past you were familiar with before you came to the city of Dubuque? And in all honesty, there has been money left on the table that was not recovered in the past that we are now trying to recover from insurance providers that would be appropriately billed. And so my impression is that the hope is that we are now going to recover what is eligible for cost recovery when in the past we were not doing so. This language, I understand, is in question for some as far as legality-wise. I'm not a lawyer, but I sure listen to the lawyers who are on staff as far as liability. I would prefer that folks not have balanced billing. And so I don't know how we work that into or out of an ordinance.
When I said balanced billing, I may not be using the right terminology. So
Okay.
let me just put that out there. The other thing I would say is if there are pieces of this that you have questions about or would like us to do some more research on, we would be happy to do that and report back. This just comes out of the recommendation and the best practice from the consultants and using information that they have provided based on their experience across a number of agencies and collections and things like that. So if there were specific questions, we certainly could go back and take a look at specific provisions and flesh those out some more.
I absolutely think that this is a great idea. I do believe as our council is responsible for passing this ordinance, I think I would appreciate a little bit more information because I do not want folks to be placed in a position of balanced billing is also referred to as surprise billing. And I don't want the residents or guests of Dubuque to be put in a place that is the situation. This is for appropriate cost recovery. I'm in agreement with that. But I would appreciate maybe more information and reflection on the ordinance as it's written now. I understand that it's used by other communities, but it sounds like maybe there could be a little bit more information provided to us. I'd appreciate that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be bringing the actual vendor next council meeting, so we can partner the two. It's what comes first, the chicken or the egg, So do you do the ordinance and then confirm that vendor? And so, yeah, we can certainly do that.
I had one more.
Hang on, Mr. Staver. I'm going to let Mr. Leindecker go first.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I agree with discussion, dialogues going on for the balance billing and things of that nature. And the one, my memory is maybe similar to Mr. Staver's in regards to when this was first discussed and passed, is that it was to have appropriately funds reimbursed from insurance companies and not necessarily come from individuals. And the thought I have on my mind is that and I know I had this thought when it was first passed and discussed, is that if there's individuals that are worried about submitting to insurance or that don't have insurance, do they try to take care of the matters themselves versus calling for appropriate services to mitigate or to alleviate any additional costs or burden and things of that nature? And so that's what's on my mind as we think about and talk about this. So I think some more dialogue and discussion on this would be very helpful.
Yeah, one piece that's important to know as well is the fire department responds, we collect that information. So that if there's no insurance information to collect, the billing company can't bill. They're not going to chase that down. So majority of people have insurance, it's the law, but we do understand and we're empathetic to those individuals that don't. So that was one safeguard as well, is that if it's not available, we're not in the business to chase that information down. We're going to move on.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Staver, go ahead.
So in the past, at the other departments where you use this cost recovery system, were you directly involved in the billing type of thing, or?
Third party. So again, there was the branch of EMS billing, which is a specialized third party, and then fire cost recovery, and this was 10 or 15 years ago that was implemented where I was from.
Okay,
Yeah.
So were there, I guess, and they did the same sort of thing where they didn't charge the taxpayer, just trying to get, the money that they can from the insurance companies?
Yep.
Do you remember any event where they did try to collect from an individual or anything like that?
I remember back then, there were a lot of questions as well. People were concerned, they thought that this was something that they had to pay as a supplement to, their tax dollars. What Councilwoman Wethel, you explained it perfectly. The questions that I always have is that I should have probably brought this a little sooner, to regain those fees associated with the insurance on cost recovery. It was perfect timing as far as that support of the firefighters in that three-prong approach.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Mr. Sprink, go ahead.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around, because I think a lot of folks are concerned that, say they need an ambulance because they're having a heart attack, they're going to get a bill. But going back through your memo, it's for motor vehicle accidents, hazardous material incidents, vehicle fire, so your car's on fire. But I do have a question. What would specialized rescue responses entail? Would that be like using something on the river or something to that effect?
It could be river, but let's think technical rescue. We've had incidents where people have been trapped below ground, above ground. The hazardous material billing, we already bill for. So that's something that we've been doing without issue for years. So it's just, adding the components and making sure that you're transparent in that ordinance, which is a lot of language. So it comes under scrutiny in review, which is fine.
So I guess, but then the last thing is other eligible emergency mitigation activities where recovery from a responsible party or insurer is permitted. What type of accident would that be?
Those are ones that we didn't identify. So a great example is at the federal level in FEMA. So there's states that get hit by hurricanes, and there's states that get hit by tornadoes. And so the billing mechanism in those large Stafford Grant Act type activities comes under a FEMA schedule. So FEMA actually has something very similar that says, listen, one fire engine will cost you this much, and a hazardous material truck will cost you this much, even so much to go into public works on backhoes and tree clearing activities. They're very detailed, so it's a very similar approach, but this is just at the local level, so it just covers that portion.
Okay. So, but just to clarify, we need to call 911, you need an ambulance for a medical reason, we're not billing for that.
It falls under the ambulance billing, yeah,
Gotcha.
so that's a cost recovery portion, but I know people will say, I'm not gonna call. No, call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We have a lot of questions. That's my summary. And I think that's okay. This is new for us. We discussed the fact that this was new for us when we first talked about it back in October. We got 2 new members since that time, so there's more questions from new perspectives right now. I do think it would make sense for us to do this, and I would suggest that we postpone for the next meeting and bring it back the next meeting to be able to discuss about this. I don't want to delay things too long because we do want to get this moving to be able to have a process in place that allows us to follow the plan that we have laid out, which is entirely about making sure that we're recovering the costs that we have for the services that we're offering, and then with that cost recovery, being able to accomplish that goal of adding more firefighters to the force, because that is the goal in the end here. But it also is the goal to make sure that if there is a cost recovery mechanism that we can use, that we should be using it. I will say, though, the one thing that did give me pause as I was reading through this is the same thing that's been mentioned by several members already, in that we did talk about not billing people personally for these services. We talked about billing insurance, and then not, for lack of a better term here, not chasing people down for the extra money.
Right.
Surprise billing, as Ms. Wethel pointed out. I do think that, I think I'm hearing that that's important to us here. So I guess one of my questions that I want answered when you bring this back to us is, why is that language in here, and why was it suggested by the consultant that you're working with, if the intent is to not do that? Is there a reason, a legal reason, that we need to have that language there for some sort of a backstop, like it's going to make it hard to even bill insurance, whatever that is? If there's a reason that is the case, then I'd consider voting for that, knowing that the policy that you are going to put forth is going to be to not do that practice. I hope that makes sense in what I just said out loud. Krenna's shaking her head. That's kind of all I need, is just that for her office to look at that. So, because sometimes there is a legal reason why something needs to be said. There needs to be something in an ordinance, and it might not be exactly what we want to do, but it has to be there for some reason. And I'd like to know if that's the case. But I do want to make sure that whatever we do here, we're clear on it, and we're confident that in what we're voting for, and that we are able to explain it to the public. I think that everybody in Dubuque needs to be able to understand this, and if we're asked that question as a council member, we need to be able to say clearly why we're doing this and what we're doing. And we don't have that answer yet. I don't feel that confidence at the desk right now. So does that make sense? Am I wrong about any of this? Okay. All right. I'm generally seeing heads shaking. So I think, do you have any other questions for us, Krenna, in anything that you would need? How about you, Chief? Do you have any?
No questions.
Council? Okay. Yeah. And this is all recorded, so we can all go back and review this. But I do think that there are some specific questions in here that we can get more answers to. But I would invite, Ms. Wethel, you made the original motion here and it was to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. I think maybe a motion to postpone to the next meeting on June 1st. Please, Krenna.
Well, I was just going to say to receive and file and bring back June 1st with additional information or updates.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Wethel.
I would like to receive and file and bring back to our meeting on June 1st to revisit the ordinance.
Second by Sprank.
Okay. We've got a motion by Wethel and a second by Sprank. Krenna is shaking her head in the affirmative, showing that that is a motion that will work. So we'll revisit this again at our next meeting. Okay, excellent. Trish, if you could call the roll, please.
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes 6-0. Thanks for that discussion, everybody.
Action item number 7, relocate taxiway A, combined construction phase 4 and phase 6.
Mr. Mayor,
Roussel.
I move to receive and file and approve.
Second by Wethel.
Motion by Roussel and a second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Airport Director Todd Dalsing is recommending City Council approval to concur with the FAA recommendation to combine Phase 6 with Phase 4 and continued multi-year efforts to reconstruct Taxiway A. Phase 4 includes reconstruction of portion of Taxiway A3, constructing Taxiway B3 and entry Taxiway A4, and relocating approximately 1,500 linear feet of mainline Taxiway A. This phase was approved as part of the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement program budget by the City Council. Phase 5 includes connecting Phase 4 and Phase 2 with connection to the general aviation apron. This phase was approved as part of the fiscal year 2027 capital improvement program by the City Council. Phase 6 provides critical safety and functional purpose, separating University of Dubuque training aircraft from commercial and general aviation aircraft operations departing Dubuque Runway 31. This phase was planned to be submitted as part of the fiscal year 2028 capital improvement program. As described during the April 21 City Council budget presentation, funding for Phase 6 is pending employments in calendar year 2026 to be eligible for the Federal Aviation Administration AIP program. On April 22, 2026, Dubuque staff and airport engineer Foth met with the FAA Central Region Planner Joshua Peters and engineer Ryan Demetz. The FAA announced they have identified $2 million in supplemental discretionary federal funds available and proposed combining Phase 6 with Phase 4. Combining Phase 6 with Phase 4 will be eligible for federal AIP funds at 95% federal, 5% local match. To combine Phase 4 and Phase 6 into one project per the FAA recommendation, the airport will utilize savings identified in the fiscal year 2027 local funds, originally budgeted at 90% federal, 10% local, and retain remaining budgeted amount for Phase 5 pending bids in fiscal year 2027. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? Not seeing any. We're hearing Mr. Staver. Yeah.
So just making sure I understood. So by combining the two, they all fall under that same funding discount or whatever you want to call it?
Right. I'm going to let Todd Dawson, the airport director, come up and explain it, but.
Todd Dulsing, Dubuque Airport Director. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your full question.
Well, I was just asking, so if I understand, we're getting money to pay for both projects at a 95%?
Yeah. So
savings?
essentially, it's two separate grants. There's one grant that we've already received for Phase 4, and the FAA, as city manager just advised, that they had identified additional supplemental discretionary funds of $2 million. And that's for a separate grant. They're proposing to combine those two into one project. And as city manager just advised, we were able to locate the 5% match in the 2027 funds, because we originally budgeted that project at 90-10, so 90% federally funded, 10% local, but that project is eligible for 95-5. So that 5% that the federal is picking up, those were funds that we can identify for a local match for this new grant, I guess, if you will, this $2 million.
So what's our total commitment on both projects?
So for Phase 4 and 6, are of the $10 million of that project, it'll be $437,000. That's 5% match. And then the final phase, which would be Phase 5, would be, actually, it's even a decrease. So that would be a total for just about an $8 million project. The 5% on that is, it's $700,000 is what we have budgeted, with a little extra from the funding that we identified for this grant. And bids, of course. That's just estimates. Yeah, 5 cents on the dollar is not bad. It's paid by failed or failing.
In front of the
Generally, the east side of the airfield, basically the full length, so you have to taxi on that to get to any runway at the airport. All of the general aviation hangars, corporate hangars, Dubuque Jet Center, a lot of our events, etc.
Well, congratulations, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Not seeing any. All right, Todd, thank you very much for answering questions. Appreciate that. All right, motion here is to receive and file and approve. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Tabor.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Bethel.
Aye.
Linder.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 8 is request for qualifications RFQ for fire headquarters bunk room remodel consultant.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Wethel.
I move to receive and file and approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Wethel, second by Roussel. Mike, please.
Thank you. Fire Chief Amy Scheller is recommending City Council approval for the fire department to proceed with selection of FEH Design as a consultant for the fire headquarters bunk room and bathroom remodel project, and to finalize the necessary professional services agreement and grant authorization to the city manager to sign the notice to proceed. FEH Design demonstrated strong qualifications, relevant fire station experience, local presence, schedule capability, and the ability to meet the city's project expectations at a reasonable and supportable cost. Approval at this time will allow the project to proceed immediately and maintain momentum toward timely completion of construction documents and subsequent bidding. The anticipated professional services cost is estimated to be between $42,094.36 and $46,303.79. Funding for this project is available within project account, which is currently has an approximate remaining balance of $828,645. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request mayor and city council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion? Not seeing any or hearing any. All right, Mr. Staver?
So this is to design the main bathroom? No?
Amy Scheller, Dubuque Fire. This is for the bunk rooms upstairs. So we're rolling right from the HVAC project into, if you've toured the fire station, there were just 2 large rooms. We're going to create 12 individual bunk room spaces and 4 bathroom spaces.
Bathrooms within those bunk rooms?
No, there'll be 4, kind of where the bathrooms are now, but there'll be individual lockable private bathrooms. So we have a male and a female bathroom space, and they'll just convert them.
And this is for the design portion of that?
Correct. And the bidding. Yeah.
And the bidding?
For the construction services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I know that this is a project that's been very desired at the fire department, so really looking forward to being able to move this one forward and keep on moving forward. So thank you for bringing it. All right, motion here is to receive and file and approve. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Staver.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Leyendecker.
Going to abstain.
Sprank.
Aye.
That motion passes with 5 ayes and 1 abstention.
Moving on to council member reports.
What reports do we have? Ms. Roussel.
Thanks. I was able to attend both the kickoff and the wrap-up with the fire department accreditation team, and it was great to hear positive comments about our fire department and ideas to make it even better. I was so pleased to be able to be there. I was happy to attend the employee appreciation breakfast and see all of our wonderful staff. I attended meetings with Dubuque Forward, Friends of Dubuque Parks, Dubuque Main Street, the mission team at my church, and I also planted a few trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wethel.
Many of us attended the May 7th employee recognition breakfast, which was a great gathering and a wonderful opportunity to acknowledge the incredible staff of the city of Dubuque. This past Saturday, we did a Saturday morning tour of Dubuque Metropolitan Area Solid Waste Agency, of providing a tour for our state legislative delegation. Councilmember Resnick, myself were there in addition to Supervisor Harley Potoff. The 3 of us sit on the Dubuque Metropolitan Area Solid Waste Agency Board. And so we shared the present capacity, our goals for the future regarding solid waste management. And then attended after that Indigenous Heritage Celebration at the MFC. They did a fantastic job. What a great, vibrant community of folks gathering for that. Hats off to them.
Mr. Leyendecker.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. This past week, I had the opportunity to attend a cookout for the Boys and Girls Club, which was just a great experience overall. Served over 200 meals to them for their dinner, which was awesome. So also last week was able to participate in the announcement out at the Field of Dreams. Very exciting. I know Mayor Kavanaugh was there as well. So exciting stuff going on out there, and the construction is near completion. So that'll be a great amenity for us in Dubuque and overall for Dubuque County. And then also had a meeting with Dubuque Ford and some of the exciting stuff that they're working on as it relates to the generational projects that we are underway, one of those being the Field of Dreams and others. So it's been good couple weeks.
Thank you. Any others? Mr. Sprank?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since our last meeting, had 2 neighborhood association meetings. Also attended the City of Dubuque Employee Recognition Breakfast, which was a nice time to say thank you to all of our staff. My nonprofit did safe zone training in conjunction with some of the City of Dubuque's ERP folks. So that was a good day to learn a lot of stuff. And then, yeah, just looking forward to what's all coming up this summer. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything, Mr. Saber? Not tonight? Well, it's breakfast season. So employee breakfast, which was super fun. It's always great seeing so many employees in one place. Just to being able to say thank you to people face to face is really something I appreciate every year. Travel Dubuque breakfast, talking about travel and hospitality in Dubuque. Always an exciting time talking about the major things going on there. GDDC Workforce Solutions breakfast. That was a good one, but also talked about some challenges. You know, we need to make sure that we continue to recruit people to the community and continue to, we talk about it a lot, increase our population, especially when it comes to our workforce and our working age population. So making sure that we keep that focus. Really enjoyed the Indigenous Heritage Celebration on Saturday. Had the honor of reading a proclamation and presenting a blanket to the elder of the Meskwaki tribe who attended. That was it was definitely an honor to be able to do that, and I was very thankful that they folks that were from the Meskwaki Nation were able to join us that day. Field of Dreams, it's gonna be so cool. I mean, it's just gonna be so cool out there, and when you get an opportunity, I really do hope that everybody gets a chance to go out and find their way to that stadium at some point. With a minor league team coming from the Northwoods League, we're going to have lots of opportunities to do that, along with lots of high school teams playing this year. Super cool opportunity, and great to be out there just sitting there. I lose my words every time I go. It just is one of those projects where you're speechless, and I love that about it. One other thing that was super fun was the Hills and Dales mural on 4th Street that was painted on Saturday. They somehow made it through the weather. I'm not sure how, but they found a window to paint just a beautiful, bright mural that was painted by people of all abilities. And it was just so much fun to watch that day. I was working down there that day and able to just be there watching it go on. It was a great party atmosphere, and it's a great addition to Cable Car Square. So thank you for that and everybody involved. And then the final thing I'll say is it's graduation season. So congratulations to every graduate at the high school and college level, middle school level, elementary school, preschool. Congratulations, graduates. I'm really looking forward to the next chapter in your life, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you here in Dubuque. All right, we have a closed session. I will take a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Wethel.
I move to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation, purchase, or sale of real estate under Chapter 21.51CJ under the Code of Iowa.
Second by Linedecker.
Got a motion by Wethel and a second by Linedecker. For the record, the attorney of the City Council will consult with on the issues to be discussed in closed session is City Attorney Connor Bell. Trish, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel. Aye. Favor. Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Linedecker.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. We are in closed session.